Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the What If Guy, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Dragon God Issei got Harem. Now before starting, please give this video a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. In the great battle that took place with the great beast of the apocalypse, the leaders of all the factions united to seal the Trihexa in the dimension where it was previously sealed. But there was a problem. They had to be sealed alongside the beast in order to keep the seal active. A few months have passed since the leaders left, and the supernatural world is barely standing firm since. Without them, the factions are unstable. After all, peace had been achieved, at least for almost everyone, since Issei and Ajika Beelzebub were in communication with the leaders who were sealed thanks to an Azazel invention that allows them to communicate between dimensions. The leaders informed them that the battle was not going very well, as the beast was too powerful and they could barely survive. Issei was desperate. He couldn't do anything anymore, so he asked Ajika if there wasn't a way he could help them, to which Ajika said yes, but the price was too high. Issei didn't care about that because he wanted to help them. He couldn't let them die. Ajika told him that he can send someone to where they were, but he has to stay in his place. That he has to be someone extremely strong since he had to fight the beast and give power to the seal so that it remains activated, and that he had to leave something in this dimension. Issei, without hesitation, offered since with the boosted gear he could keep the seal active and with his balance breaker he could face the beast. Ajika thought for a moment and accepted since he did not have much time and the circumstances implied that he was the best option. With the decision made, Ajika Beelzebub called all the leaders of the factions to a meeting. He also added all the people close to the CHST tree since they had the right to know what was happening and what would happen to the CHST tree. Ajika, once everyone was gathered, explained the situation of the leaders, and it should be said that many were worried about them since there were their brothers, sisters, and even their parents fighting. Ajika told them that he had a way to save them. Everyone was happy, but when he heard the way, many were scared since one had to be alone with that beast and fight with it. None of them wanted to offer themselves, but he already knew that. Then Issei stepped forward and told them that he would do it since, with his boosted gear, he could make the seal active, and also that, with his current strength, he could at least fight with the beast even if he could not defeat it. Upon hearing this, many were surprised. Others could not even speak in the face of such a surprise. The Gremory group and other girls present, when he came out of shock, immediately refused, but Issei always told them that he cannot stand idly by when there are people who are dying to keep the peace, and also that without the leaders of the supernatural world, it would be a great blow if they died. Even with those words, they did not accept them, so Issei approached them and told them that he was sorry, but it is something that he has to do. Besides that, he told Riaz and Sona, who flatly denied that he cannot see Surzich Lucifer and Seraphal Leviathan die helplessly. Faced with this statement, they said nothing. After the meeting, Ajika prepared to send Issei to the dimension of the Trihexa. Once ready, Issei prepared and left to help him, but before Ajika gave him some magic circles and told him that he had to use them on a person only after that person would teleport here with his entire race. Issei, hearing this, nodded and turned to where certain women were who were crying. Issei saw them and told them not to worry, that he would be fine and to wait for him since he would return. Leave 8 pawn pieces. Once Issei is in the dimension, he gets serious and into action, as every road remembers the last time Azazel communicated with them. What he saw was Seraphal the Mahu, Gabriel the Seraphim, and Penemy crying when she learned that they would die at any moment. Seeing this, a strong pain in his heart gives way. He no longer wanted to see them that way, he just wanted to see them smile like they always did. Once he located the battle, he set out to save them by sending everyone back to Issei's dimension, leaving only the great beast of the apocalypse, ready to fight and train with the Trihexa. Meanwhile, the dimension of Issei could be seen. The leaders gathered already recovered, but none said anything and some were crying for the loss of someone very valuable. Until Odin stands up, breaks the silence and saying, from now on the Sekiryute, Issei is named as hero of Asgard, surprising all those present. After a few seconds everyone understands that he does it to honor the boy who sacrificed himself for them. Then everyone begins to say the same thing. From now on the Sekiryute, Issei is named as hero of Olympus. From now on the Sekiryute, Issei is named as hero of heaven. From now on the Sekiryute, Issei is named as the hero of the underworld. So said all the factions present. In the supernatural world, everyone knew the name of Issei as well as his achievements. After 10 years, Issei manages to get out of that dimension, but he realizes that many things have already changed since he was there. Now Issei is going to face really powerful beings that threaten peace and his loved ones. He will demonstrate the power and experience he has gained in these 10 years of fighting and training with the great dragon of the apocalypse, a power that will temper the world. In the great battle that took place with the great beast of the apocalypse, the leaders of all the factions united to seal the Trihexa in the dimension where it was previously sealed. But there was a problem. They had to be sealed alongside the beast in order to keep the seal active. A few months have passed since the leaders left, and the supernatural world is barely standing firm since. Without them, the factions are unstable. After all, peace had been achieved, at least for almost everyone, since Hyodo Issei and Ajuka Beelzebub were in communication with the leaders who were sealed thanks to an Azazel invention that allows them to communicate between dimensions. The leaders informed them that the battle was not going very well, as the beast was too powerful and they could barely survive. Issei was desperate. He couldn't do anything anymore, so he asked Ajuka if there wasn't a way he could help them, to which Ajuka said yes, but the price was too high. Issei didn't care about that because he wanted to help them. He couldn't let them die. Ajuka told him that he can send someone to where they were, but he has to stay in his place. That he has to be someone extremely strong since he had to fight the beast and give power to the seal so that it remains activated, and that he had to leave something in this dimension. Issei, without hesitation, offered since with the boosted gear he could keep the seal active and with his balance breaker he could face the beast. Ajuka thought for a moment and accepted since he did not have much time and the circumstances implied that he was the best option. With the decision made, Ajuka Beelzebub called all the leaders of the factions to a meeting. He also added all the people close to the CHSD tree since they had the right to know what was happening and what would happen to the CHSD tree. Ajuka, once everyone was gathered, explained the situation of the leaders, and it should be said that many were worried about them since there were their brothers, sisters, and even their parents fighting. Ajuka told them that he had a way to save them. Everyone was happy, but when he heard the way, many were scared since one had to be alone with that beast and fight with it. None of them wanted to offer themselves, but he already knew that. Then Issei stepped forward and told them that he would do it since, with his boosted gear, he could make the seal active, and also that, with his current strength, he could at least fight with the beast even if he could not defeat it. Upon hearing this, many were surprised. Others could not even speak in the face of such a surprise. The Gremory group and other girls present, when he came out of shock, immediately refused, but Issei always told them that he cannot stand idly by when there are people who are dying to keep the peace, and also that without the leaders of the supernatural world, it would be a great blow if they died. Even with those words, they did not accept them, so Issei approached them and told them that he was sorry, but it is something that he has to do. Besides that, he told Riaz and Sona, who flatly denied that he cannot see Surzich Lucifer and Seraphal Leviathan die helplessly. Faced with this statement, they said nothing. After the meeting, Ajuka prepared to send Issei to the dimension of the Trihexa. Once ready, Issei prepared and left to help him, but before Ajuka gave him some magic circles and told him that he had to use them on a person only after that person would teleport here with his entire race. Issei, hearing this, nodded and turned to where certain women were who were crying. Issei saw them and told them not to worry, that he would be fine and to wait for him since he would return. Leave 8 pawn pieces. Once Issei is in the dimension, he gets serious and into action, as every road remembers the last time Azazel communicated with them. What he saw was Seraphal the Mau, Gabriel the Seraphim, and Penemy crying when she learned that they would die at any moment. Seeing this, a strong pain in his heart gives way. He no longer wanted to see them that way, he just wanted to see them smile like they always did. Once he located the battle, he set out to save them by sending everyone back to Issei's dimension, leaving only the great beast of the apocalypse, ready to fight and train with the Trihexa. Meanwhile, the dimension of Issei could be seen. The leaders gathered already recovered, but none said anything, and some were crying for the loss of someone very valuable. Until Odin stands up, breaks the silence, and saying, "From now on the Sekyurite, Hyodo Issei is named as hero of Asgard," surprising all those present. After a few seconds, everyone understands that he does it to honor the boy who sacrificed himself for them. Then everyone begins to say the same thing. From now on the Sekyurite, Hyodo Issei is named as hero of Olympus. From now on the Sekyurite, Hyodo Issei is named as hero of heaven. From now on the Sekyurite, Hyodo Issei is named as the hero of the underworld. So said all the factions present. In the supernatural world, everyone knew the name of Hyodo Issei as well as his achievements. After 10 years, Hyodo Issei manages to get out of that dimension, but he realizes that many things have already changed since he was there. Now Issei is going to face really powerful beings that threaten peace and his loved ones. He will demonstrate the power and experience he has gained in these 10 years of fighting and training with the great dragon of the apocalypse, a power that will temper the world. "Partner, why did you sacrifice yourself for all of them?" the dragon asks, although he already has an idea of why. "You know me, Dreg, I can't sit and watch them cry." "Well, although that's something that has always defined you, to give everything for your loved ones, even if it's your life," the dragon said calmly, since he knew what his companion was like. The brown-haired man commented with a bit of sadness in his words. "I hope that because, to be honest, I have no idea how long we can be here." The dragon commented somewhat worried. "You know something, Dreg, I don't feel regret for what I did, rather, I feel happy that I was able to help with this problem," said the brown-haired man in a happy and calm tone. "You know better than anyone that you helped not only them but also many more. Besides that, you have done more in almost 2 years that I have been with you than a whole life with the other bearers," said the dragon, making the brown man smile. "Dreg, friend, sorry for everything I've put you through," says the brunette repentantly. "What's it apology for?" asks the dragon, confused. "Well, I just wanted you to know that if at some point I can't leave this place and I die here, at least I want to tell you that you're my best friend," the brown-haired man replied in a calm tone. "Aha, I can't really win with you, partner, despite everything. I'm glad you were my bearer, although the Oppi dragon left me a scar," said the dragon, happy but also depressed. said the brown-haired man happily and amused. Despite everything he has lived through since he became a demon, Dreg was always there with him to support him and make him really happy to see him known. Please, if you continue like this, I'm going to die of so much depression, I comment on the dragon, already very depressed, said the brown-haired man, encouraging his friend. I'm satisfied with you leaving that insane obsession to the breasts, said the dragon, already calmer, said the brown-haired man very excitedly. That sounds appealing, said the dragon with tears in his eyes, while Issei just smiled. The brown-haired man commented excited at the idea of becoming strong. To be honest, I don't know if you can control 100% of Off-Ice power, not the body of the Big Red, but at least you can reach a really acceptable level since you need a teacher to be able to control it properly. The dragon said it seriously, but not to discourage the brown-haired one. Well, at least I won't be useless in the field, said the brown-haired man, without losing his enthusiasm. Then I recommend that you start at once, although we are not in a hurry, it is better to do something in this place so as not to die of boredom, commented the dragon. Okay, Dreg, let's get serious, said the brown-haired man with a big smile. Oh, you're going to train for the first time seriously and eagerly. I want to see how this ends, the dragon shouted very excitedly. The good thing is that in this place you won't feel hungry or sleepy, so let's go, partner. Let's show the world the true power of the strongest Sekiryute in history. Of course, my friend, shouted the brown-haired man excitedly. I promise I'll come back, thought the brown-haired man. Human world, Hyoto residence. You can see all the leaders and their teams who were in the alternate dimension. They were all lying on the ground being treated by the DXD team and some other people of different races after seeing it come out. Some with SCS, others with normal wounds, and most with serious injuries, either broken bones or damaged organs. Besides that, almost all of them were bathed in their own BLD. Although some were also crying over the price of seeing their loved ones. The price was the hero for some, the friend for others, and the person they loved the most for others. Among them could be seen the Gremory group crying while treating the wounds of the Maois and other members, Volley's group treating Azazel and Penemu as well as other members, although Lefei and Kuroka were with tears in their eyes, and Arena and Uriel with other angels treating Miguel, Raphael, and Gabriel as well as other members. There were also members of other factions treating their leaders like Olympus, who was treating Zeus. But among all of them were some conscious and others unconscious, but there were 3 women who seemed very affected. Among them was Gabrielle, who was leaning against the wall, but she had her hands gripping her CH tightly because she felt that she had lost something too precious for her, while light tears came out of her appealing eyes. Another person was the Mao Seraphal Leviathan, who was unconscious, but before she was unconscious, tears ran down her cheeks, saying in whispers, "Why you?" And so he falls unconscious at the arrival of Sona Citri, who, upon seeing her, immediately throws herself to hug her and cry with her in her arms. She could not explain how happy she felt to see her alive again. Penemy was another one who, although she was not better, at least stood with certain tears wanting to get out. There they were left resting and recovering, at least until they could go to their respective fractions and recover in their entirety, since they also had to think of something. And that something was nothing more than the person who sacrificed himself for them and prepared to give the news to the supernatural world. So after a few days that passed, the girls of the Gremory group were very depressed, more so Ria since the love of her life, who gave so much for her, was no longer by her side. The days continued to pass, those days in weeks, the weeks in months, and the months in years. Some people still had hope of seeing the brown-haired man again, while others continued their lives normally, forgetting about him. Sometimes they felt that they lacked something. In this way, the years went by, and out of nowhere, 10 years had already passed. In Fermundo, Castillo's Citri, 10 years have passed since the incident with the Trihexa. A certain girl could be seen on the bed who seemed to be having a nightmare, as her expression reflected pain as tears ran down her cheeks. Dream, go to your sister, she's waiting for you, the man said calmly as he wiped her tears and caressed her cheek. What will you do? I asked, worried. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I'll stay to protect you, so go calmly, he told me while a magic circle appeared below me. Nuo, hold on, please, wait, I said, very scared. Please come with me, I need you, I said while crying, since for the first time she felt her heart beat strongly for someone who had protected her with her life and did not want to let him go. He was shaking his head in denial. I was about to disappear, but I could hear the last thing he was saying to me. I'll come back for you, Sierra-chan, and with that last sentence, he left, as well as his last memory that you see of him. End of sleep. When the appealing woman got up from her bed and touched her cheeks, there was a tear of sadness for not seeing him again. That dream again. Really mind how I miss you, said Seraphal Citri. At that moment, there is a knock on the door. Wait a minute, Seraphal replies as she wipes away her tears and dresses. Once ready, she opens the door. She is surprised, since the one who knocked on the door was her better sister, Sona Citri, with her typical emotionless expression. Good morning, One-sama, I have brought you a letter from Surzet-sama, the younger Citri informed her sister. Good morning, Sotan, says the elder Citri as she throws herself on her sister to embrace her with her typical cheerful way of being. One-sama, I already told you to stop saying my name with so, the younger Citri complained, her cheeks flushed with shame. Because Sotan does sound very cute. Besides, just because you have a boyfriend before your sister doesn't mean I can't call my pretty little sister that. Sona Citri has a boyfriend. She got together with Saji more than 2 years ago, but before they left, she had married Momo and Maruko 5 years ago. Saji now has 2 appealing wives, but he wants Sona Citri as his next wife, who is the one he spends the most time making his 2 wives very jealous. This happened when they were at Sona's school. She saw him playing and smiling with the children, and after a few moments, he approached her and said while the 2 looked at the school, "Sona-sama, I really thank you for allowing me to reincarnate into a demon. If it were not for you, I would not know where I would be." Those words surprised the black-haired woman since she never thought he would digest them. "I really thank you since I can be with a person as wonderful and appealing as you," said Pon Citri. Sona was going to scold him because she thought he was flirting with her, but then she saw his eyes, which reflected happiness, gratitude, and sincerity. From there, they got closer and closer until Saji proposed to be his girlfriend, which she accepted. "One sama now, please," said Citri, handing him the letter and running away from embarrassment. "Come back, Sotan," shouted the elder Citri. Serafal only smiles when she sees her sister like that. She enters the room again and closes the door. At that moment, while she sees the letter in her hands, tears fall down her cheeks, remembering that scene where she saved her. Flashback. "I'm going to die. This will be my end," thought the Mao Serafal Leviathan as she cried while on the ground on her knees without strength. "Sorry, Sotan, I couldn't see your dream come true," thought the Mao as she lowered her head, waiting for her death. But in the last moment of her death, she only whispered, "Please help, I don't want to die." She said this in the hope that her hero and prince would arrive, for whom she had waited so long for years to come. She was calling for help as, in front of her, came a gigantic fire that had launched the Trihexa to kill her. She only waited for her death by lowering her head and squinting her eyes, but it never came. She opened her eyes very slowly as she was afraid of finding something in front of her that could kill her. But she was surprised to open them since in front of her was the person she never expected, since it was none other than Sekiryute himself, Hyoto Issei. Serafal was so shocked that she couldn't speak for a few moments because he was protecting her with his body, receiving the fire from the front. Once he stopped the fire, he turned around and carried Serafal like a princess to get away from the Trihexa while protecting her with his life from the multiple attacks that the Trihexa sent at him. Serafal, seeing this, could not even say or do anything since the one who was carrying her in her arms is a man who is protecting her with his own life so that nothing happens to her. At that moment, when he was carrying her, she felt calm. She didn't know how to express it, but for the first time in her life, she felt protected by someone. Those feelings that invaded her, she did not know what to do, and she felt happy, calm, protected, and most of all, warm. For the first time in her long life, she felt her heart warm. She felt that no matter where or who she faced, she would feel protected as long as he was by her side. "What is this that I feel? This warmth, this tranquility, is this what humans call love?" asked the Mao as she gradually lost awareness of how tired her body is. When she regains consciousness after a few minutes, she is surprised because he is still protecting her from anything happening to her. "Dragon-chan, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here," she said when she was able to regain some strength. "Well, what can I tell you, Serafal-sama? I've come to help you," replied the brown-haired man with a sincere smile that made the Mao blush slightly. "And if you ask how Ajuka-sama got here, after his departure, I investigated how to help them by inventing a magic circle of exchange," said the brown-haired man, taking out the paper with the magic circle. "Wait a minute," the Mao asked, to which the brown-haired man only nodded his head. "If so, a person has to stay, and if I leave, that means that." With a face of surprise and amazement, he sees the brown-haired man who is smiling at him. "That's right, Serafal-sama, I'll stay so you can return home. You've already fought strong and you deserve a break. There are people who need you, not to mention the supernatural world. Besides, Sona misses you. She's not the same if her big and wonderful one-sama isn't by her side," said the brown-haired man slowly and calmly. At that moment, tears ran down her cheeks because of those words, since it was not a secret that she missed her sister very much, but she knew that she could not see her anymore. Until now, they have been telling her that she can see her dear sister again, listen to her, talk to her, hug her, and tell her how much she loves her and how important she is to her. But at the last moment, he realized something. "But you will be left alone with that beast. No, I cannot allow it as Mao. It is my duty to fight until the last moment to protect everyone," said the Mao in a firm and authoritarian tone. Hearing that the brown-haired man was a little surprised, he thought she could react like this. He placed his hand on the Mao's head and gave her a small caress while looking into her eyes and saying, "You have already fought a lot, Serafal-sama, it is time for you to rest. Besides, as I told you, there are people who need you," said the brown-haired man, trying to convince the Mao, but she refused. "You know something, Serafal-sama, I heard from Sona that because of the way you are, she is embarrassed, although she also told me that that is a part of you and I would not change it for anything in the world. Besides, Serafal-sama, I don't want to get into her private life, but I also know that you have never gotten a boyfriend because of your cheerful and spoiled way. And those who approach you are the men who only see you as a trophy or an achievement for having the Mao as a girlfriend," said the brown-haired man calmly. Serafal is so surprised by how well informed she is, but she also blushes a lot to know what she is like and what has happened to her. Issei just looks at her and smiles as she thinks about how cute she looks that way. "You know what I think? I think you are a wonderful woman with your way of being so active, cheerful, and pampered. I think any man would love to have a woman like that so he can pamper her as much as he wants while he observes how appealing you are when you see those appealing violet eyes, the brown-haired Mao said while caressing her cheek affectionately. Serafal didn't know why, but he had blushed for those words. Even though they always told him compliments, they simply ignored them, and he knew that they came with other intentions. But he didn't know because hearing those words from him made his heart go crazy. Maybe it's because in that look there is only sincerity, since she has always seen her as a trophy and not as a woman. But when she sees him, that look reflects that he really sees her as a woman. Serafal-sama, it's time for me to go home to rest. You've deserved it, and please, even once, allow this man to protect you, since you've sacrificed so much in your life. The brown-haired man said this while giving her a smile that made her blush. Serafal's heart was beating so fast that it wanted to come out of his ch, and he never expected those words to come to him. Don't call me like that, said the Mao in a whisper. Sorry, it will be Serafal-sama, don't listen to her, said the brunette, confused. I don't like you to call me that, Wood, he said, this time a little louder. Issei is surprised when he hears her, but after a moment, he smiles at her while caressing her cheek. Then what do you think? Sira-chan, said the brown-haired man, surprising the Mao, but only for a moment, because then a nice smile forms on his face. She didn't know why, but it gave her immense happiness to hear her call her that way. Although she had already dealt with him and heard about him from Sona, this was the first time she had felt this way in front of a man. Thank you, he said in a low voice, with a big blush on his cheeks and tears wanting to come out of his eyes. The brown-haired man sees her and smiles at how appealing she is, then he tells her again. Well, it's time for you to go with your sister, who is waiting for you, the man said calmly as he wiped her tears and caressed her cheek. What will you do? I asked, worried. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I'll stay to protect you, so go calmly, he told me while a magic circle appeared under me. Nuo. Hold on, please, wait, I said, very scared. Please come with me, I need you, I said while crying, since for the first time she felt her heart beat strongly for someone who had protected her with his life and did not want to let her go. He was shaking his head in denial. I was about to disappear. I could hear the last thing he was saying to me. I'll come back for you, Sira-chan, and with that last sentence, he left, as well as his last memory that you see of him. End of the flashback. Eyes, Serafal said in a whisper. Underworld, City of Lilith, Citri Academy. Naya, you can retire now and remember the work that Naya left you, spoke the Sessi Nekomata yokai of the Citri Academy, with her appealing amber eyes, long black hair like the night itself, and the sculptural body of a masterpiece that every young man dreams about having. When everyone leaves the class, the Sessi Nekomata turns to the sale and says, Naya, who brings you here? Volley, said the black movie. And to think that you would end up this way, Kuroka would never have imagined, he said with a mocking smile to the albino. Don't bother, Volley, you've always known that even though I like to fight, I always wanted a quiet life, Naya, said the black-haired woman with slight annoyance. Well, what's going to be done, and tell me how you're doing in your work, the albino asked. Last time I talked to Biku, he told me that Sun Wukong has him helping the yokai, and Arthur told me that he's doing well with Odin. Naya, and to think that we would all end up like this and you married 5 women, Naya, haha, said the black-haired mind, amusing the albino to blush a little. The Fae told me that they want to marry her to someone, but I'm sure she will find a way to cancel it, commented the black-haired woman, remembering something that made her a little sad. Tell me something, Kuroka, you don't have a man out there, the albino asked. No, Naya, replied the black-haired woman. You are still a Kuroka virgin, the albino asked curiously. Of course, if you were an idiot, I wouldn't give that to anyone, said the angry but sad black-haired woman. I would only give it to him, she said in a low voice, but Volley could hear her. You're still waiting for it? Asked the albino interested. I'm always going to wait for him, Naya, I just want to be Naya with him, said the depressed black-haired woman. Do you think we'll see him again someday? The albino asked. Yes, Naya, something tells me that we will see him again, and maybe I will know very soon, replied the black-haired woman. By the way, Abel told me that your sister wants to see you, the albino informed the Nekomata. What a pity because I don't, replied the angry black-haired woman, remembering what her sister did. You're still angry about changing Hyoto Issei, the albino asked. For a Nekomata Naya and even more so for a Nekashu, once we choose a partner, we stay with her Naya, the black-haired woman replied to the albino. Kuroka is like this since her sister swore eternal love to Issei, but when Issei sacrificed himself for everyone, she forgot about him after 3 years and formed a relationship with a yokai who already had an engagement to Kanu, Yasaka's daughter. It's something natural since she wanted to go on with her life, said the albino calmly. Then let him continue with her, Naya. I, for my part, will continue to wait for him as long as it takes, Naya, since I am sure that I will see him again, said the black-haired woman in a serious tone. Kuroka, despite her playful and mischievous personality, also has a sentimental side. Once Issei sacrificed herself, she was in shock and very depressed because she had lost the person she had fallen in love with, that person who accepted her as she was, that person who always made her smile with his madness, that person who always cared about her, that she was always well, and that she lacked nothing, and that person who, no matter who she faced, always looked out for her and her. Protected. That feeling of loneliness never went away. It has been torturing her and waiting for him all this time. Kuroka, do you really think he'll come back? The albino asked with interest. Yes, there is no doubt about that, Naya. He will return, and I don't know why, but something tells me that we will see him again, Naya, the Nekomata answers as she looks at the sky through the window with a deep look. I hope so, said the albino who was repeating Kuroka's action. Eyes Dijo lay in Tres Suzuros la Nekomata. Heaven, first heaven. They were walking hand in hand with Uriel's ace, Nero Rayamundi, and Miguel's ace, Irina Shidu. Since they had been a couple for some time, they were going to a place where they were waiting for them. When they arrived, you could see a slightly spacious place with white armchairs. In them, he met Asia Argento and Zenobia Quarta, who had become reincarnated angels after asking Miguel and having permission from Riaz and Surzurch. They were turned into angels, reincarnated Asia with the 2 of Pica and Zenobia on the 3 of Pica. They were with their respective partners. The 1 of Asia was the ace of Raphael, D. Thelmwald Siemler, and the 1 of Zenobia was the ace of Raziel, Louis Binken. At the age of 3, they forgot about Issei, and 2 years later, they fell in love with the aces of Uriel, Raphael, and Raziel, an act that same year they asked to be reincarnated. Although some were disappointed in them since they swore eternal love to Hayato Issei, now that she is not there, they forgot about him and continued their lives as if nothing had happened. Heaven, sixth heaven. The seraphim were in a meeting, discussing some matters that he had to attend to. In that same place was the strongest and most appealing woman in heaven, the great seraphim Gabriel, who had a somewhat serious expression, but you could see a great sadness that has invaded her for 10 years now. Since the last time she saw her, since the last time she saw those eyes that reflected fear but also courage and sincerity, since the last time she lost it, she no longer felt like smiling. Once the meeting was over, Miguel saw her and asked her, "Gabriel, you're fine? I've noticed that you're not the same," said the leader of heaven with great concern for his sister. "Don't worry, Miguel, I'm fine, just a little tired," said the seraph with a fake smile that everyone could see. That smile reflected pain and great sadness. Once she answered Miguel, she stood up and left the room, where the other seraphim remained with worried faces since they had not seen her smile sincerely for 10 years. Although everyone knows why, no one can do anything. "Miguel, we have to do something. I can't go on like this," Uriel said with concern. "But what can we do? It's been 10 years since Gabriel has been like this," said a worried Raphael. "We can't do anything, brothers. You already knew that Gabriel, before the incident with the Trihexa, already showed feelings for him. For a long time, he showed that he had the noblest heart that has ever been seen because he always gave everything for the general good without asking for anything in return," said Miguel with concern and sadness in his words. "And to know that, from that moment when he saved her, those feelings that had her dismayed awakened," Miguel said, informing everyone as he watched Gabriel leave the 6th floor. Once Gabriel left the living room, he went to his room and sat on his bed, thinking about what had happened 10 years ago since that brown-haired man saved her. The one who had caught her attention because of who she was and who she was, that kind and loving person, that person who strives for her loved ones, and above all, that person who gave her life for them. And to think that at first it was just curiosity about what his personality was like and nothing more, but to know that over time, that I was with him. I was more and more curious to see how he gave everything and fought with beings much stronger than him to protect his loved ones. At that moment, I realized that the more I saw him, the more I wanted to be with him." Gabriel had a blank look as tears welled up in his eyes, running down his cheeks as he remembered that event. Flashback. She didn't know how long it had been since she was in this dimension, since she was only fighting with all her strength with the great beast of the apocalypse, along with her brothers. Next to her, a few meters away, was Miguel, who was breathing very agitatedly since he had been fighting for a long time. "Brother, you are well?" asked the great seraphim. "Yes, I'm just a little tired," Miguel replied with difficulty. After confirming, Gabriel and Miguel are sent into battle again, but what they did not expect was that they were separated by a gust of air, causing Miguel to shoot out and crash into the ground. The Trihexa, seeing this, begins to attack Gabriel, who is also distracted, and connects a blow that leaves her on the ground, almost unconscious from the strong blow. Gabriel tries to stand up but cannot. The Trihexa sends him a flame when he sees her that way. When he saw the flame heading towards her, a thought crossed his head. "I'm going to die," thought the seraphim. "No, Gabriel," Miguel shouted when he saw that his sister was going to die, an act that Gabriel only closed his eyes to and said in a whisper. "Father, I will be with you very soon," said the seraph as tears ran down her cheeks. The flame reaches Gabriel, causing Miguel to be horrified. "No, Gabriel, the leader of heaven, shouted, crying, when he saw the death of his sister. Inside the flare could be seen an intact Gabriel without any scratches. "Why are you crying?" one voice said to Gabriel. "You don't know that you look prettier with a smile on your face than with tears on it," said the voice as she felt how she wiped away the tears that ran down her face. That hand, because it feels so quality, because I feel so calm when it touches me. Who is that person who makes me calm down?" Gabriel gradually opens her eyes to see the person who protected her from the flame by covering her with his wings. "Sekryute," she said, surprised. "Tell me, why are you crying?" the brown-haired man asked as he continued to caress her cheek with a smile. Gabriel didn't know what to say. He was speechless because that feeling he felt when he caressed her so delicately made her feel happy. "You don't know that you look prettier with a smile on your face than with tears on it?" The brown-haired man repeated the question again with a smile. Gabrielle didn't know why, but those words made her cheeks blush. When the flames are extinguished, Michael can see that Gabrielle is alive, instantly filled with immense happiness. Trihexa throws a flame again. Issei, seeing this, carries Gabrielle in his arms and dodges him. Gabrielle didn't know what to do, and now that he was carrying her in his arms, she became redder, but she didn't know why since she knew him and had talked to him before. This was the first time she felt that he would give his life to protect her. Gabrielle continued to think about him because Issei had dedicated himself to dodging the attacks of the Trihexa. Gabrielle didn't realize anything until a fire hit Issei from behind, causing him to start bleeding in the impact part and in the head. He then returned to reality. "Let go of me. If you continue like this, you will die," said the seraph, worried. "No" was the only thing the brown-haired man answered. "Let go of me. You don't understand that you're going to die if you go on like this," said the seraph with tears, since she thought he was going to die. "No," but the brown-haired man kept saying the same answer. "Reason. If you go on, you're going to die," said the seraph in desperation, looking for an answer. "I won't. I'm not going to die. I still have to protect you," which would be heaven without the most appealing and strong woman of all. The brown-haired man replied with a smile as he looked into her eyes because, although he was wearing the armor, he didn't have his helmet on. Gabrielle was in shock because he didn't know why those words affected him so much, despite the fact that countless times she has been called like that. For her, it was nothing, but then she thought, why, when he says it, do I want to continue listening to him? Why do I want to look good to him? Miguel, who was watching from afar, saw how Issei sacrificed himself to save his sister and take her to where he was. Once she reaches Miguel's side, Issei slowly lowers Gabrielle, putting her next to her brother. "Miguel-sama, I'm going to send you back to our dimension," said the brown-haired man, surprising the two seraphim. "There is no way to do it. Besides, we cannot leave. If we leave here, the Trihexa will be free," said the leader of heaven, very worried and confused. "I don't know how to worry. I will stay so that the seal is maintained. Thanks to my boost gear, and thanks to Akuja-sama, I managed to find a way of exchanging. In exchange for staying and keeping the seal, you can leave," said the brown-haired man in a calm but at the same time serious way. Gabrielle, upon hearing that, is horrified by the words spoken by the brown-haired man, since he will be left alone with that fearsome beast. EP, but you will be alone with that beast. I can't let that happen," said the seraph, frightened and upset as she clung tightly to the CHST nut tree's arm. Miguel and Issei were surprised by what the seraph said, but even more so Miguel since he had never seen her act that way. Issei, on the other hand, sees that only smiles while caressing him on the cheek, an act that Gabrielle looks at him in the eyes again. "Don't worry, I'll be fine. Someday I'll come back," the brown-haired man said as he activated the magic circle that appears under all the angels, and they began to disappear one by one. Gabrielle sees that and clings more to the CHST nut tree, not wanting to move away from him. Issei sees Gabrielle and hugs her while he reaches out to her ear and tells her, "Don't worry, I'm not going to die yet because there's one thing I want to do, and one of those is to see you smile," said the brown-haired man to the seraph, who was still clinging to him tighter while tears ran down his cheeks. "You have already fought a lot for us. Now it is my turn to fight for you, so please let me protect you," said the brown-haired man to the seraph as he disappeared almost entirely into the magic circle. "No, please, don't stop. I'll stay with you too," said the seraph, scared of losing him. Although she didn't know why she felt that way, a part of her wanted him and not leave him. Issei, seeing her like this, hugs her tightly, making the seraphim surprised, but for some reason she did not want to move away from him. Issei sees Miguel and tells him, "Please take care of her," he said with a serious and pleading tone to the leader of heaven. "Leave it to me, and thank you for everything you are doing for us and for saving my sister from death," said the leader of heaven with a tone of shame but also of respect and admiration. And with those last words, Miguel disappears from that dimension. Even before Gabrielle also disappeared, he embraced her on the cheek, surprising and telling her, "A memory so that you don't forget me and so that I am well and calm, because one day I will return," said the brown-haired man with a smile on his face. Gabrielle simply touches the cheek she was embraced on as her heart races and remembers the last words before disappearing. End of the flashback. Gabrielle can be seen lying in her bed, almost asleep, while she whispers, "I'm going to wait for you, Issei," and so she falls asleep thinking about him. Alternate dimension, 8 years ago. "Hey, larva, what are you doing?" a very somber voice asked. "Oh, so you've woken up? It's training a little," the brown-haired man replied to the dragon at the end in his human form. "Why do you train if you can't get out of this place?" "You're trapped," said the Trihexa. "Maybe it's true, but I don't plan to stay here forever. Besides that, there are people who are waiting for my return, and I need to be strong to be able to protect them," said the brown-haired man as he continued training. "Ha ha ha, you are an interesting larva. What do you think if I train you a little to kill time?" said the dragon of the end to a brown-haired man, very surprised by what he had just heard. "What is the reason for such a tempting offer?" asked the brown-haired man with great interest. "Well, I don't have anything better to do. Besides, I don't know what you did, but I can feel the presence of red and off-eyes in you," replied the dragon of the end. "Yes, I died a long time ago. I was saved by them. The big red made me a body while off-eyes had the energy to live," said the brown-haired man as he saw the smiling dragon. "Ha ha ha, interesting, very interesting," he said while smiling even more at that fact. "And well, do you think if I train you a little, it would be very fun to see how far you can go with a dragon body that has the strongest body?" In addition to the energy of the Infinity Dragon and the training of the End Dragon, not you, but for me, it doesn't sound bad at all, said the End Dragon, tempting the brown-haired man even more. The brown-haired man said it, still with some doubt. I don't know, partner, said the dragon thoughtfully. The CHST Nut Man asked. I don't feel malice in his words, and I'd be lying if I said I'm not interested. The dragon said to see and analyze a little. The brown-haired man asked doubtfully. It's as he says, you've had contact with the 3 dragon gods, but not only that, your body is made of the BLD and flesh of the Big Red. In other words, you have the best body a dragon can have. If you train it well, I can't imagine how far it can go. The dragon said with great interest, said the brown-haired man analyzing the situation. That's right, partner. If you train well, you will reach a new level, but you will never be able to MSDR completely due to your lack of experience and information. But if someone trains you who has those 2 characteristics, you can become completely MSDR, said the dragon, more and more excited. Commented the brown-haired one. We don't lose anything by trying, plus I'm getting excited to think about how far you can go. I think this is a unique opportunity, partner, said the dragon, advising the CHST Nut Tree. Issei sees the Trihexa standing in front of him again, waiting for the answer. I see that you have finished talking to D-Drag, so you decided, asked the dragon of the End. It's okay, Trihexa. I accept, so from now on I'm in your care, said the brown-haired man calmly but also seriously. Good decision, larva. Although I don't know if you can die, although you have a high possibility since you have a fairly resistant body and almost infinite energy, this will get good. Let's go, larva. Let's start to see how far you can go. Thus Issei began the infernal training of the great beast of the apocalypse, the dragon of the End, the Trihexa. Tokyo, the capital of Kyoto. Kanu-san, Kaneko-san, your liege are here. I shout a yokai. Sir, they meet Miss Yasaka in the courtyard, said a guard. Okay, could you do me the favor of letting them know that I'm here? The yokai said politely to the guard. At once, my lord, said the guard, going to fetch them. In the garden of Yasaka Castle, they and yokai were conversing normally. Excuse me, ladies, young Yasuko has just arrived and asks if you can attend to him, the guard informed Wings and yokai. Thank you, let's go right away, replied a young woman of about 21 years old with blonde hair, fox ears, and tails. She had a very attractive body, large breasts, wide hips, and a thin waist, and an appealing face for her age. She was the current leader of the yokai Kanu. I'm glad she came. There are still some things to arrange for the wedding, and this will be a great opportunity to finish the preparations, said an albino woman of about 25 years old, with cat's ears and tail, a body almost like her sister's. Nothing more, a little less than this. She was the tower of the Gremory Kaneko Taojo group. Tell me something, girls, you really want to marry him. I mean, he is a good man, and I have no problem with him, but it wasn't that they had sworn eternal love to someone else, said the former leader of the yokai Yasaka, saying that despite the years, you are still just as appealing. Rather, it seems that every year she becomes even more appealing than she already was. Hearing what the older Kitsune told them caused both of them to freeze and not be able to say anything. After the brown-haired man sacrificed himself to help them get out of that dimension and stayed inside, both Kaneko and Kanu suffered from the departure of the person they had fallen in love with. After a year at a reunion, Kaneko and Kanu became very close friends, so much so that after another year, they had become like sisters. And 3 years after the departure of the CHST Nut Tree, they forgot about the person who had always loved them and protected them from all evil, in addition to seeing them saved on multiple occasions, making the CHST Nut Tree on the verge of death to protect them. After seeing the man they swore eternal love had forgotten, they fell in love with Yasuko, a young yokai, the son of an army general, getting engaged to him 3 years after seeing him meet in 3 years of dating. I know this is your decision, but I'd like to know if you're very sure, because if Issei comes back, you won't be able to be by his side anymore, the older Kitsune said to the young yokai. That one left them thoughtful. What happens if Issei comes back for them and they find them married to someone else? As Issei is, he would not do anything, but they would lose him, and they could never be by his side again. That idea was terrifying to them. Yasaka, seeing the expression of both, was surprised since she thought that they had already made a decision, but from what can be seen, they are still not 100% sure if the decision they are making is the right one. I don't think he'll come back. It's been 10 years, and there's not even a chance that he's alive, said the younger Kitsune, surprising her mother with the harsh words she had just said. Besides, we have to go on with our lives, and also, besides, I don't want to think about this possibility, but maybe it's already dead, said the albino, surprising Yasaka even more with the albino's cold response. They stand up and go to look for their fiancé while Yasaka watches them leave and shakes her head because she knows what Issei is like. He will not die so easily, and even less when she knows that he has women waiting for his return. I hope you don't regret the decision that girls are making later on, the older Kitsune said as she watched the 2 young yokai leave. Come back soon, Issei, I'm waiting for you to come for me, Yasaka said as she looked at the wide sky, and tears ran down her cheeks. Underworld, Castle Gremory. 4 young girls could be seen in an appealing garden talking calmly without any problems or worries. They were the heiresses of the Citri and Gremory clans with their respective queens, Ria's Gremory, Haimjima Akino, Sona Citri, and Tsubaki Shinra. Tell me, Sona, how you are doing with Saji-kun, asked the redhead. You can say that more or less since there are some problems, and adding that lately he only spends his time with Momo and Haruko, replied the heiress Citri, surprising the Rias and their queen. I'm surprised to hear that, since I thought I had everything under control, said Queen Gremory. They're not easy. Besides, Saji has been foolish to sleep with him, said the heiress Citri with fatigue and little patience in her words. And why don't you do it, and that's it? Besides, he's supposed to be your boyfriend. I don't see what's wrong with that since you know he really loves you, said the redhead to the heiress Citri. I know the feelings that Saji has for me. On most occasions, I don't feel like I am with him. Besides, the other issue is really bad since Saji is part dragon and the only thing he really wants is to mark me. As he already has Momo and Haruko marked, he says that it is so that no one approaches me. In other words, he wants to control me, an act that does not seem to me in the least, the heiress Citri replied angrily in her words. That comment left Rias and her queen in doubt, as they did not understand what she was talking about. Tsubaki made a comment to clarify. Remember that a male dragon marks his females when they have sex. This mark allows no other male to approach it because it is already marked as the property of the dragon who owns the mark, and if the female is unfaithful to him, this mark will be responsible for killing her since it contains a large amount of dragon power, said Queen Citri, finishing the explanation. This surprised Rias and Akino since they were unaware of this detail. Sona, seeing that, raises an eyebrow, as does Tsubaki, in doubt. From the looks of it, you didn't know that information. I'm surprised that you, who lived so long with a dragon like Aiz-kun, didn't know that, said the heiress Citri with quite a bit of intrigue. A silence lasted as the name of the CHST nut tree brought back memories of everything they have lived by his sides. Sona, seeing this wonders if Rias and her entourage have already forgotten the CHST nut tree. Let's see if you really forgot Aiz-kun already, Sona Citri thought. Now on that subject, are you sure you want to marry Razor? Tsubaki asked this time. That question surprised the Gremories a little since they did not expect it, but after a few seconds of getting out of their surprise, they answered. If I already made my decision, Razor has changed a lot. He is not the same as before thanks to everything we have been through, and he has really supported me a lot after Aiz left, and not to lie to you, I really like that part of him, so much so that I fell in love with him. The redhead replied to the citrus. And what happens if Aiz-kun returns and, when he looks for you, finds herself married to the person who once sacrificed himself to save you? Asks the heiress Citri. Rias, hearing that, is shocked since she hadn't really thought about it. She already had the idea that the CHST nut tree was dead and would never come back. Not only to her but also to you. Akina, let her come and find out that you are already married, Queen Citri continued. Akino hearing that, I know that she was in shock too since she did not expect to be asked that. She always gave up on the CHST nut tree after a few years and began to rebuild her life. She met someone, and after getting to know him more, she married him. The silence lasted for a few minutes, and when she saw that the conversation was coming to nothing, the heiress Citri changed the subject. Changing the subject, Tsubaki, how are you doing with Kiba Yuudo? The heiress Citri asked her queen since she didn't know how her relationship with the Night Gremory was, but when she saw that her queen lowered her head, she realized that it was a bad idea to ask. Really bad, even though demons have a polygamy system. Yuudo-kun says that he is not interested in having more than one wife, and between his childhood friend Tasuka-san and me, he chose his Tasuka-san. Queen Citri said that she is sad and depressed since she can't be with the person she fell in love with. It's a shame since he was one of the 3 men with whom you have interacted and you have been able to talk and deal with your really being, said the heiress Citri sadly since it was a somewhat delicate subject. Who were the other 2 people? Asked the redhead, having come out of shock because of the previous question that her friend asked her. One was Saji, and the other was Hayato-kun, Queen Citri answered. If you want to be with someone of those 3, let's discount Yuudo-kun for the previous information, and Saji too, since you know him very well and you know how he is. That's why you should just stay with Aiz-kun, Citri commented, surprising everyone. When her queen was going to say something, Sona continued talking. You always enjoyed time with him despite how perverted he was. He had his good points, and one of those is that he always made you laugh, said the heiress Citri with a malicious smile, as she saw her queen turn red at the comment since it was true. She always enjoyed spending time with the CHST nut tree since with him she could be herself. The Gremories did not know what to say since they did not know that information. Queen Citri sees her king and, with the same malicious smile, answers. But I wasn't the only one, if I remember correctly, Sona, whenever you spent time with Hayato-kun. You could see him with a smile of being very happy to share moments with him, said Queen Citri, making her king blush so much that she couldn't control him. Tsubaki sees her with a triumphant smile. She sees the 2 Gremories who were there, who didn't believe anything they had just heard. Well, that cannot be avoided because, despite being a pervert, he has his good sides, such as being someone who is kind, attentive, protective, and always looks out for the well-being of his loved ones, commented Queen Citri. Oh, Sona looks at her with a smile and says, that can be taken as a confession in an indirect way, saying that you like Aiz-kun, heiress Citri finished saying. Tsubaki blushes so much that she says it with difficulty. Well, I can't say. that I didn't like it, and experience all those feelings and feel important for a man like him, said Queen Citri, blushing as much as she could. Hearing that, Riaz and her queen, who were down until now, banged on the table in anger as she stood up. No, you can't. I don't allow it, Heiress Gremory shouted with authority. The heiress Citri and her queen see each other's eyes, and then she sees the Gremories, who were expressing annoyance and anger. Riaz, let me remind you that soon you are going to marry. Besides, you have no right to say who Kun can be with, and you too, Aquino, since you are already married, you don't have the slightest right to say anything. I answer them seriously and claim the heiress Citri as she stands next to her queen. It doesn't matter, the redhead shouted again. He is still my dear pawn. He can only be with me and with no one else, the redhead finished saying. Laughs. An altered Sona shouted. React. You are about to marry Ryasur, you are abandoning him. Besides, he is no longer your pawn, no more. He had to leave something here when he went to the alternate dimension, and you know that he left the 8 pawn pieces. You know that better than anyone, and finally, you know that there are women who are still waiting for him faithfully for his return, and you know that as much as Kuroka, like my one Sama, are 2 of them who dream of his return and will continue to wait for him until the end of time if necessary, said the heiress. Citri is a vein on her friend's already very annoyed and irritated forehead. Besides, if he hadn't left, I'm sure I would have already fallen in love with a person like him, added the heiress Citri while the other girls looked at her with their eyes wide open in surprise. Come on, Tsubaki, said the heiress Citri, preparing to leave. See you soon, Riaz, he said, saying goodbye to walk away from the place. Tsubaki leans in to say goodbye, but before that, he says, I really would have liked to have been able to have a relationship with him since he is one of the few men who knows how to make a woman feel loved and important. With his permission, we are leaving, said Queen Citri to say goodbye and reach her king. Riaz and Aquino were frozen by everything that just happened and everything said by Sona. She was absolutely right and could not deny any of that whole truth. And if he comes back and if we really don't wait long enough, said the redhead, making her friend think when she heard her. If he comes back and finds me married, will I be able to face the man who swears eternal love to him, knowing that I am no longer his and I can no longer be by his side? Thought the black-haired woman, terrified by the last thing she mentioned. Alternate dimension. Who would have thought it? You've reached a really high level, larva, said the dragon at the end of a certain CHST tree lying on the ground without a shirt and with torn breath. That is, thank you too. You, replied the brown-haired man with difficulty since he was short of breath. Partner, it's really incredible the power you have, even I can feel it running through my whole body, said the red dragon excitedly. And you have the transformation sealed, although you can activate it whenever you want, only the seal by the aura is very powerful. I add the dragon of the end to D-Drag's comment. I already want to see Albion's face when he washes the ground with him, the red dragon commented. Well, with that, you're ready to go. If you finish MSDR the transformation, you will have a power that could put us, the 3 dragon gods, in trouble. With this power, I will be able to protect my loved ones. Wait for me, very soon, I will return to you, said the brown-haired man with a look of determination. Alternate dimension. Hey Trihexa, how am I going to come back if this dimension is sealed? The brown-haired man asked doubtfully. It's easy, despite being sealed, that seal is only for me, the seal has nothing to do with you. Besides, when you changed for those people, you reactivated the seal of the God of the Bible as a backup if the first one failed. Really, I didn't know there was a second seal, said the brown-haired man, totally confused by such a revelation. I didn't really know, that guy always liked to exaggerate things, the Trihexa replied with disgust. Ha, good, and now how do I get out of here? Asked the brown-haired man, interested and happy to be able to get out of here. With the help of the other 2 dragons that are in the dimension gap, the Trihexa replied to a confused CHST tree. Right, because you didn't tell me before that I could get out of here. Because I need enough energy to open the portal on this side, which with the seal makes it difficult for me since it suppresses my powers, replied the Trihexa, annoyed to know that the seal suppresses him so much. I'm going to communicate with them, so shut up, he warned the brown-haired act. He moved away and shut up so as not to interrupt him. At that moment, it is seen how a black aura is surrounding the body of the Trihexa, and after a few minutes, the body shrinks, taking the form of a black-haired human in a black suit. After a few minutes of having acquired the human form, he expels a little more aura, causing a gap to open in front of him where great red and off-eyes can be seen in his face. Dimensional gap, minutes before. Hey off-eyes, because he was so decaying, it must be because you missed that larva, asked the great red, annoying the off-eyes. Shut up, you don't care, replied an angry and blushing off-eyes. You know, I'm surprised you have feelings, as far as I knew. You were known for not having feelings for anyone or anything, Great Red said, intrigued since Off-Eyes had shown a side of her that no one knew, all thanks to the CHST tree. That was before, since I was with Eyes, I have discovered a little about human feelings, so to speak, although there are some things I still don't understand. Off-Eyes replied seriously and sadly when she remembered that she had not seen the brown-haired man since he sacrificed himself for the well-being of this world. Great Red kept quiet, thinking about what he said. It was really a shame to lose him, he had great potential to become a new dragon god. At that moment, when the Great Red was about to say something, he felt an energy very familiar to him, just like Off-Eyes. In front of them, a portal opened where a man in a black suit could be seen looking at them with a smile. Trihexa was what the dragons said when they saw him and put themselves in a fighting position. "How are old friends? How long have you not seen them? How have you been?" asked the Trihexa cheerfully. "What are you doing here? You should be sealed," Great Red said with annoyance. "And I am. This is just a means of communicating with you," the Trihexa said calmly. "What do you want?" This time, an annoyed Off-Eyes asked. "Not really much, I just need your help for a summoning circle," replied the Trihexa to the two dragons. "You're crazy, we're not going to help you come to this dimension," the Great Red said with hostility. "Oh no, I think they are wrong. The circle is not for me but for this larva, that is. Hey, come here and say hello." I shout the last to the bewilderment of both dragons. At that moment, the person they least thought they saw appears. Although they have changed physically and their presence is much stronger than before, their aura remains the same. "Eyes, Issei," said the dragons in surprise at the same time. "Hello, Great Red, as long as you have been, I have missed you," commented the brown-haired man in a relaxed way. "Eyes, you shouldn't be dead?" Off-Eyes asked, impressed, although inside she was really filled with great happiness to see that he was alive. "Well, many things happened, and one of them is that Rays of him had the Trihexa under control. Since his body and mind were separated, that was not so difficult, and when we were fighting, I was able to destroy the device that controlled him, which gave him freedom." Hearing that, neither of the two dragons could believe it, but upon seeing Issei, they confirmed that he wasn't lying. "Hold on, Trihexa, because you didn't kill him, and while I know how you're killing him, wouldn't be a problem for you?" the Great Red asked suspiciously. Well, the reason for that observation and answering your question is because the boy is very interesting. He talks to me as if I were one of his friends, and he was never afraid of me. Rather, he always had a certain look. He really reminded me of me in my young days," the Trihexa said in a funny way, surprising the two dragons since those words had no bad intentions. "We'll help you. Well, what do you want us to do?" Off-Eyes asked, somewhat unsure but happy to know that she can see the brown-haired man again. "Oh, I didn't think the goddess of infinity could fall in love," Trihexa commented in disbelief, while a brown-haired man blushed at such a revelation, although he was happy since he always felt something for Off-Eyes. "It's easy what you have to do. Bring a human into the dimensional gap who has knowledge of advanced magic and special summoning circles. Then tell him to draw my circle in great detail while the larva draws it on this side to connect the dimensions. Then Off-Eyes and the human add a small amount of magic. The human is to connect the dimensions, and Off-Eyes for the portal to open. Now finally, it has to be in the dimensional gap," said the Trihexa with total seriousness that surprised everyone. "Because it has to be here and not in the human world?" asked the Great Red doubtfully. "Because out of gratitude for allowing me to leave mind control, I have been training this larva. Its aura, even though it has not changed, is much denser and stronger than before. If it reaches the human world like this with just its presence, it can exterminate them. Since I train with me, it does not know how strong it is, therefore it does not know how powerful its aura is." I finish explaining the Trihexa while smiling when I see the expression of surprise of the two dragons. "It needs about 2 weeks, if not before, to stabilize its aura. In that time, it cannot get out of that dimension," I finished saying the Trihexa. It should be said that the dragons were still in shock at such a revelation since the brown-haired man trained with the great beast of the apocalypse and survived. Don't be so surprised. After all, he has the BLD and flesh of Red and the power and energy of Off-Eyes, and now that he also has my training, this boy is still on track to become the next dragon god," said the Trihexa with a big smile as he saw the two dragons fainting from the impact. After a few minutes of fainting, they are now a little calmer and are now analyzing the information they just said. This really was a good thing. As Great Red, even though he doesn't do anything for the human world, he really wishes for dragons to be feared and respected. In Off-Eye's case, her heart beat very fast, and she was extremely red and happy since the person who took personal interest in her, that person who always cares about her, now had what she always wanted, the power to protect her loved ones. But in addition to being like this, Off-Eyes was getting excited because for dragons that show authority and respect are the most coveted by females, and being able to see the male that she has been having feelings for so powerful was turning her on. "Well, Red, I'll take care of the human. You create a field for summoning," said a red Off-Eyes after that shock had come out. "Okay, but who are you going to bring?" Great Red asked doubtfully, causing Off-Eyes to think. "Off-Eyes, why don't you bring the face since she is the best magician we know?" suggested the brown-haired man, an act to which Off-Eyes nodded since she knows her. At that moment, she disappears in a gap to go look for a certain magician. "Well, I'm going to prepare the circle on this side. When you're ready, summon the larva, since I think we're going to finish before you," said the Trihexa, returning to his dimension. Once the portal closed, he looked at the CHST nut tree and said, "Listen, larva, when it's controlled, I could feel how one of those so-called gods took away a lot of my power. Be careful from here on out and train a lot since I think that very soon you are going to fight with that person," said the Trihexa very seriously, making Issei nod very seriously. 10 minutes later, the magic circle was finished, and Issei sat in the very center, waiting to be summoned from the other side. Human world, Castello Pendragon. She already told you that I don't think, nor do I want to get married, said a woman with blonde hair down to her waist, white skin that makes her look appealing, long legs, wide hips, perfect breasts that make her look too attractive, and a face that expresses pure beauty. She was the daughter of the great Pendragon family, Lefay Pendragon. We have already discussed this, daughter. You are going to marry young William of the Devereux family, Lady Pendragon said authoritatively. But mother, I don't even know him, I've never seen him. Besides, I already have someone I like, and it is the person I want to marry because I am deeply in love with him, said the magician with determination. If you talk about the Secretary, he has been dead for years. Now you have to look after your future, Lord Pendragon said. By marrying a person I have never seen or met in my life, replied the magician, already very upset. At that moment, when the magician's parents were going to answer, a gap opened in the room, and from it came a Gothic lowly. Issei-sama, what are you doing here? Asked the magician, very surprised as she approached the goddess. The parents knew that the magician was very pale in the face of such a presence, so they were only silent while they observed and listened to the conversation. Lefay, we need your help, Issei said without any emotion as he surprised the magician. We've found a way to bring eyes back to this dimension, Issei said naturally, but inside he was really very happy to see the brown-haired man. Lefay, hearing that great news, could not react, and out of nowhere tears began to run down her cheek because of the happiness she felt at that moment. Since the tears only came out without stopping, knowing that she can see again the person she admires and respects so much, that person she has not been able to see for 10 long years, that person who did not have the courage to confess his love for him for fear of rejection and who all this time has been regretting not having said anything to him. But now he has the opportunity to see him, to hug him, to be able to be with him by his side, to be with the person he loves, and with that last thought he comes out of the shock he was in, he wipes away his tears and says to Issei-sama, please tell me how I can help you to the impossible if necessary, said the magician with a great sense of completion. Issei covers her with his power so that it protects and tells her to keep entering the breach again, an action that the magician does not hesitate for an instant and also enters the gap, leaving some parents very surprised and with only one thought. The world is going to change with the return of the Secretary. Brecha Dimensional. It looks like they've arrived, said Great Red as he saw Issei and Lefay emerge from the breach that was created in the protected camp. Lefay, I need you to draw this circle with high-level summoning magic, the size of a person, and then help me add a little magic to it since it needs to connect with the other dimension while I activate it, Issei said, handing him a sheet where the circle that is needed is. Lefay nods determinedly and immediately starts creating the circle, which takes him about 15 minutes to create since it is very complex and detailed. Once finished, she stands next to Issei, and they prepare to start it and bring the man they are in love with. Both women put magic power in a circle, making it activate, and a few seconds later, a tall man with long brown hair down to the waist, a messy, very well-defined body, shirtless, only with torn breath, caught the attention of the trio that saw him. He had green right eyes and purple left, with a look that showed seriousness but at the same time tranquility. Warmth. Hello, I'm counting the time without seeing. Issei couldn't finish. Issei and Lefay threw themselves on top of him to hug him tightly, causing him to fall to the floor, where he hears the two girls say their names repeatedly. It's really you, it's really Issei-sama, Lefay said with tears in her eyes, hugging him very tightly since she was afraid that it was all a dream and that he was not here. Of course it's me, but who are you? The brown-haired man asked, confused when he saw the appealing blonde who had him hugging him, since she had appealing blonde hair down to her waist, appealing blue eyes, a heart-attack body, and that she had perfect breasts, wide hips, and long legs. But after a few minutes of looking at her in more detail and seeing that cloak and wizard's hat she was wearing, she opened her eyes in surprise to know who that appealing girl was. Wait a minute, Lefay, the CHST nut tree shouted when he recognized her. Lefay, upon hearing that he recognizes her, only raises her head and looks into his eyes. When she sees them, she blushes fiercely since the brown-haired man has become very handsome, and seeing those appealing eyes that reflect maturity but also tranquility did not help her at all. Then she nods in an act of confirmation that it is her. Woo, but what happened to you? Issei, you see. Appealing, said a blushing brown man when he saw how appealing she looked, since she was very appealing before, but now he had no words to say how appealing she looked. Lefay couldn't take it anymore, and tears began to come out of his eyes and down his red cheeks because of what the brown-haired man said. He felt extremely happy, and finally, after so long, he could see him again and hug the person he loves. To be able to feel that warmth that he gives off in his body, that calm aura that he gives off from him, and that sensation that his presence alone gives off is something he never wants to stop feeling. On the other hand, Issei didn't say anything, but his expression of happiness and joy that he had said many things since she had him tightly gripped, inhaling the smell, feeling his aura in her body, and the feeling of warmth and tranquility that she felt when she had him so close, was a sensation that she had not felt for years. Issei, seeing that neither of the two girls wanted to let go, simply hugged them affectionately, making sure that they would hold him tighter, as if he never wanted to let go, since they had settled on each side of the CHST nut and stayed like this for a few hours. After a few hours, they were releasing him little by little until the brown-haired man could stand up and he could see a Lefay and an Issei who had his hands tightly grasped. Lefei, even though she was embarrassed, did not want to let go of him yet. She just wanted to be like this a little longer, except for Offeyes, who, no matter what, was not going to let go. Issei, seeing this, just smiles, and after a day that passed, you can see the two girls a little calmer. I'm glad you're okay, the brown-haired man commented as he caressed their heads with a smile, making them blush to see him smile like that. Issei-sama, I'm glad you're okay, said the mage while trying to control her blush. So long without seeing you, Lefei. Look at you, you have become an appealing woman. How long has it been? The brunette asked the blonde. 10 years, Issei-sama, replied the magician, happy but also sad to know how much has changed in this time. 10 years. I was there so long there, said the brown-haired man, very surprised since he was not able to say how much time had passed. Well, nothing can be done. I was really surprised to see how appealing you look, Lefei, said the brown-haired man, making the magician blush as much as she could for the compliment. Offeyes, for some reason, didn't like that comment but didn't know why. I'm really dying to see everyone, so come on, girls, let's all visit, said the brown-haired man very enthusiastically. You can't, at least not yet, said a man of about 35, handsome with red hair and a white suit with red parts. Great red in that appearance, it's the first time I've seen you like this, also because I can't go, asked the brown-haired man, confused. First, your aura is very strong. If you go out here and arrive in the human world, with just your presence, you will kill everyone, said the Great Red calmly, making the brown-haired man remember what the Trihexa told him. Second, you need a little training to be able to properly control your aura, to which I will give it to you, I finished saying, Great Red. Finally, you better stay here while that girl tells you everything that has happened, and while you're at it, she fixes your hair since it's a mess and you can't walk like this, since you're a nominee to become the 4th dragon god, so you need to command respect with your presence and the way you are. You're disgusting, said the Great Red without mincing words, but he also surprised the brown-haired man and the magician very much since they knew nothing about that subject. After a few minutes, the magician began to tell him everything that had happened and what was happening, in addition to telling him that Riaz and the others made their lives without him, making him feel really sad and depressed but also happy since at least they are happy. So all that happened. Wow, I'm really surprised, but I'm also happy for them, said the brown-haired man with a sincere smile, but a tear ran down his cheek. The magician, seeing this, hugs him and tells him that he will always be there for her, making the brown-haired man calm down a little. He also told him that all this time they have been at peace, although once in a while a group attacks, causing problems. Also, Asia and Zenobia were angelized since they fell in love with angels like Irina. Aquino married a fallen man who was a friend of his father. It should be said that he was a year older than Aquino, and Bracial saw him as a son. Rasuizer married an upper-class demon named Ryu, who is a professor at Citri Academy and is friends with Sona and Riaz. Kaneko and Kanu became close friends and became engaged to the son of a general of the Yaokai, whom they soon married. Vali got married and has 5 wives. It should be said that when the magician said that to the brown-haired man, he was shocked since he never imagined that the fight addict would be interested in women and even less in getting married. His wife is Maya, an upper-class demon off the anti-Maoist faction who is silver-haired and well-bodied, with a somewhat serious personality. Levany, a mage and former member of Kao's bride show, was saved by Vali, Hauho was brainwashed to control her. Lavinia, another upper-class mage, a green-eyed blonde with an appealing body, has a very jealous personality as she was the first of his wives, and she claims Vali as her own as she says it is her right. Riken is another upper-class demon of House Belphegor, with black hair, brown eyes, and a unique beauty. Avilia is a Yaokai who is Yasaka's personal lady and close friend. She has light blue eyes. His eyes is blonde, and has a voluptuous body. Arthur is the bodyguard of the Norse god Odin, along with Beku. Ravel forcibly committed her to her family since she does not want to marry. She also told him that she and Ravel are very close friends. In fact, it can even be said that they are sisters. Tiba is dating her friend from the Sacred Swords Project, Tasuka, and has left Tsubaki alone, leaving her very hurt and depressed. Gaspar has a very strong relationship with Valeria, saying that he wants to follow in the footsteps of his senpai and create a harem. Sona got together with Sanji even though they only have a dating relationship, and Sanji is married to Momo and Raruko. Then he told him that there were girls who were waiting for him for his return and were not with anyone, as in the case of Kuroka, Serafal, and Yasaka. An act that surprised the brown-haired mainly Serafal, who had no idea why she was in love with him, until Didraig told him that it was surely because of everything he told him when he took his life. She must have fallen in love, and after thinking about it for a few moments, she agreed with him. And finally, he told her that Riaz is engaged to Razor again since he had changed a lot and more than helped Riaz a lot when he left. Hearing that, he became very depressed, but he was happy since she was happy with him and that he loved and respected her. Issei kept quiet as he took it all in, while Lefei cut his hair and Offeyes was by his side, as he didn't want to stray far from the brown-haired man. No, in a few weeks I'm getting married, commented the magician, taking the brown-haired man out of her thoughts with a sad tone. Do you love him? Asked the brown-haired man, who was quite interested. Not at all. I don't even know him. It was my parents' idea, and since my brother is with Odin Dono, he doesn't know anything about this subject. The magician answered, as she lowered her head and treacherous tears ran down her cheeks. I consider myself quite good at breaking commitments, said the brown-haired man to the magician, who was surprised by such an answer. You would really do that to the best of the world. For me, the magician asked the brown-haired man with tears coming out of his appealing eyes. Issei looks her in the eye as he gently caresses her cheeks while calmly telling her, of course, I would do that for you, and much more. You have always been by my side in good and bad times, helping me in any way possible. Besides, well, I don't want to let an imbecile take away something as precious as you are to me, he said, blushing with great embarrassment at the statement he had just made. The mage didn't believe what she had just heard. Issei considered her something precious to him, and she was so precious that she didn't want to lose him for anything. But Issei-sama is. If you interfere, that continues. It means that you will be engaged to me, said the magician very nervously. Well, if you don't, it bothers you to have someone with you, like me, as a fiancé, said the brown-haired man, looking away from the embarrassment he had. Lefei could not believe it. That the brown-haired man had just declared directly that he loved her as his wife, something he had never imagined. Her heart began to beat like crazy when she saw that the brown-haired man loved her, which caused her to start crying from so much happiness she had at that moment. Chu saw that she began to cry and thought that she did not want to have him as a husband, and it really saddened him because, despite being enraged in the other dimension, he spent his time thinking about his loved ones, and she was one of those people who thought, since before he was sealed with the Trihexa, he had feelings for the magician, but he did not know how to tell her since she was a very appealing woman and I had always supported him. Well, if you don't want to relax, we can bus. But when Issei was speaking, he was interrupted by Lefei. No, said the magician very hurriedly. Please don't. If it's okay for you, I'll be delighted to accept, said the magician, very agitated and happy. Issei was surprised at this action. She really accepted to be his wife, which had made him extremely happy. Sure, I don't want to force you to do anything. Of course I would be happy to have you as my wife, since it would make me extremely happy, said the brown-haired man, very embarrassed but also firm. Yes, please, make me your wife, said the magician, very happy since what I have been waiting for so many years is now happening. And I was always in love with you, Issei-sama, but for fear of rejection, I kept quiet, and when you left, I felt very alone, and I regretted so many times not being able to tell you anything, but now that you are here, I want to tell you that I like you, so please allow me to be by your side, said the magician, very embarrassed but with a determined look. Issei was shocked at such a revelation. He didn't expect her to have such strong feelings for him after 10 traits. Companion, what the magician says is true. I can see the sincerity and love in her words. I comment on the D-drag in the CHST nut man's mind. Issei was even more surprised by his friend's confirmation. Then he got closer to her, caressed her cheek, making her blush, and looked into his eyes, those eyes that made her blush even more since they reflected love and affection in them. Lefei, I want to tell you that I like you too. I've been in love with you for more than 10 years, but I had never realized it, and when I was locked in the dimension, that's when I realized, but it was too late to tell you what I felt. But now that I'm here, I want to ask you to become my girlfriend and fiancé. But I also want to tell you that if you could share me, since I also have feelings for other people who are waiting for me. I asked the brown-haired man with fear since he thinks he is going to say no, and really that idea terrified him. He did not want to lose it. Yes, the magician replied. Yes, I don't mind sharing with you as long as you have me in your heart and love me the same as the others. The only thing I ask is that you allow me to always be by your side, said a very happy Lefei, since the person who had fallen in love is reciprocating her love. In addition to sharing, it did not bother her since she knew who the others who had feelings for the brown tree were. Then, at one point, the brown-haired man begins to cut distance, an action that the magician copies, gradually approaching the CHST nut tree's lips, and then, embrace. Lip contact ensued, and both were lost at the time. Issei, when he feels Lefei's lips, is invaded by a feeling of love that fills him completely, erasing absolutely everything in his mind, only that moment he is living. In an instant to deepen the embrace, Issei delicately takes her by the waist, bringing her closer to him. On the other hand, Lefei felt that no moment in her life can surpass the one she is living. Few things in life are as appealing as the pleasure of embrace the person you love. When she felt that the brunette took her by the waist, bringing her closer, they passed their embers around her neck to also deepen the embrace. The embrace lasted for several minutes. LeFay felt how her heart left her soon because of how fast it was beating, but she didn't care. The only thing that mattered to her was to continue, until they both separated, leaving a thin thread of saliva. Thank you for being here, said the brown-haired man while she shook her head. Thank you for allowing me to be by your side, said the magician with a very blushing face but with an expression of joy and happiness. After they continued the conversation, it should be said that LeFay was with an expression of happiness that she had not had in years. At that moment, Great Red arrived and went to check the area to see if it was safe and if they could train here. The brown-haired man already had his hair arranged and cut, although he was still there. Well, larva, let's train. In 1 or 2 weeks, you may already control your aura, and there is no danger that you will go to the human world. Great Red commented seriously. LeFay, go to your house. Tell your parents that I'm going to talk to them very soon, he said to the blonde. Take off eyes with you too, and I want you to wait for me. There will be you very soon, said the brown-haired man calmly. It's okay, Issei-sama, let's go, said the magician, but Off Eyes didn't want to solar Issei, who had him tightly on her arm. Off Eyes, go with LeFay. Very soon I will be with you, and I promise you that I will never leave you alone again. I will always be there with you, said the brown-haired man while embraced the forehead of the gothic loli, to which he blushes for the embrace and goes with the magician to the brown pendragon. Well, Great Red, let's get started, said the brown-haired man enthusiastically. After returning, it was not all bad news. There was also good news, as in the case of love for LeFay, and also to see if what Off Eyes feels for him is love, since he does feel affection for her. This will be fun, said the dragon when he saw the brown-haired man so animated. Underworld, Phoenix Castle. 3 days after Issei's return. Mother, father, I'm going out, said the 4th daughter of the Phoenix clan, who over the years has become one of the most coveted young women in the underworld. She has only 25, blonde hair with 2 pigtails of large curls almost to the waist, dark blue eyes, large and firm breasts, wide hips, and long, white-skinned legs that make her look appealing. It's all right, daughter, but don't delay many days, as you have to continue with the preparations for the wedding, Lady Phoenix said. Mother, I really have to marry him. You know who I'm in love with, said the blonde, depressed and sad since her family is forcing her to marry the young man of the Barbados clan. Of course, daughter, we have to make the clan prosper, and the union with them would benefit us all a lot, said Lord Phoenix, happy for the engagement. But parents, you know that I already have a fiancé, and it's him that I want to marry, the blonde commented with frustration and sadness. If you mean the secretary, forget it, that boy must be dead by now, and if he is still alive, he will be sealed forever, Lord Phoenix said seriously and harshly. Ravel, when he hears those words, feels a great pain in his heart because for 10 years she has been in pain for having lost the person she admired and also the person she loved. And she loves because even after 10 years she is still deeply in love with him. There is not a day that she does not think of him and a night that she thinks of him, and she has never lost hope of seeing him again and being by his side again. But with the forced marriage, she will lose her freedom and with it the right and hope of being able to be by her side. With your permission, father, mother, I am retiring, said the blonde Phoenix, since arguing about the subject would not get her anywhere and would only make her feel more pain. Where are you going, daughter? Asked Lord Phoenix. To Castle Gremory SR, and from there to the human world at Ku Academy, the blonde confirmed to leave. Human world, Ku Academy, and an occult club building. 5 days after Issei's arrival, Irina, Asia, and Zenobia can be seen sitting in one armchair, Kaneko, Akino, and Ravel in another armchair, and Rasuizer in a single armchair, while Riaz is at the desk, where she always sits. Although they no longer go to school, the school is under their care, as ISIS the entire city, which remains a zone of the 3 fractions. Thank you for coming everyone, I know you have to be very busy, plus Ravel and Kaneko, who are going to get married very soon, Riaz commented to the group. Don't worry, Riaz-sama, I'll always be there for you, the albino answered. Don't even remind me, please, Riaz-sama, since that wedding is without my consent, added the blonde Phoenix, somewhat angry and sad. It happens to the Ravel, asked the former nun. Sigh, I had an argument with my parents before leaving, since I don't want to marry the young man of the Barbados clan. Bland replied, sad and frustrated at not being able to do anything. Why not Ravel? If that young man is very polite and kind, besides, he likes you a lot, commented the black-haired woman with her typical giggle. Because I don't love him, replied the blonde with tears in her eyes. Excuse me for this, but I'm not like you, the blonde commented as tears ran down her cheeks. That simple comment surprised everyone in the room. They no longer expected that answer. I only love one person, and it is the only person I want to marry and be by their side, said Ravel while crying in frustration and sadness. 2. I only love Issei-sama. He is the only person in this world that I can love and want to love, since he is the only person who cares about others without caring about himself, who smiles sincerely even when things are bad, who protects his loved ones with his life, who sacrifices himself for the people who are important to him even when it kills him, Ravel said, crying nonstop. Everyone present was in the room, and they were in shock. I don't know how you forgot about him just like that, as if he were nobody, although I don't judge you for that, but don't you remember everything he did for all of us? In almost 2 years that we were with him, he did so much for us that not even the whole life of a demon or angel is enough to repay him. Ravel finished saying with his head down, and tears ran down his cheeks while he was remembering. 2. Can't forget the person who spoke to me sincerely. Hello, my name is Hayato Issei. Issei, the person who welcomes you with a smile. Welcome, Ravel, to our home. The one who made me smile even if I didn't want to. Come on, Ravel, a smile, so you look prettier. The person who was saving me when I was kidnapped. Ravel, you're fine, I've come to save you. You. The person who protected me with his life from an evil dragon. Don't worry, Ravel, I'll protect you. You. The person who sacrificed himself for me so that I am well. I won't let anything bad happen to you, even if it leads to my death. The person who saw me as a woman and not as an object or prize. Ooh, well, you're very pretty, Ravel. How? Tell me how. How can you not fall in love with a person like that? Ravel said as tears ran down his cheeks without stopping. All the people in the club were shocked by the reality of these words, and for many minutes, no one answered or said anything. Ravel calmed down, wiped away tears, and broke the silence. I'm sorry to everyone, but I don't feel well, so I'm going to retire, said the blonde as she disappeared in a magic circle. Some time after Ravel left, the club remained dead until he spoke like that. Issei is really great. He always took care to protect me, Asia said. I will protect you, Asia. I was the only person who accepted me as I was, Akino said. I don't care what you are, forever, Akino is Akino. Akino, the only person who supported me when I needed it, Kaneko said. I will always be there for you, Kaneko-chan. The only one who understood me, said Zenobia. Don't carry everything by yourself, I'm with you 2.2. I was the only one who cared about my well-being, said Irina. You're fine, Irina, I'm so glad you didn't hurt yourself. I was the only one who saw me when no one was looking, Rossweiser said. You are a wonderful and very beautiful woman. I was the only one who loved me as a woman and not for titles or riches, Ria said. I love you for who you are, not for what you have. But none of that matters anymore, right? Said a voice that was heard from the door. Sona, they all said at the same time, and in fact, it was Sona Citri and her queen, Tsubaki Shinra, who had arrived, and they sat down in 2 armchairs that were free. None of those thoughts matter to see anymore, even if Issei returns, the Citri commented aloud for all to hear. What do you mean, Sona? Riaz asked, a little annoyed by the comment. That even if Issei returns, nothing will change for you. Akino and Rossweiser-san are married. Asia-san, Irina-san, and Zenobia-san have been dating for almost 8 years. I imagine they are too much in love to break up with them, and both Kaneko and Urias are going home very soon, Citri replied calmly and serenely. They were all silent, as they couldn't say anything because those words were the pure and hard reality. Even so, Issei only loves me. He will come to my side since he is mine, Rias said, breaking the silence with words of great pride. Sai, tell me something, Rias. How do you think Issei will react when she realizes that the women she loves and who gave her life for them are married or with boyfriends? Sona, already married, said that Rias does not understand. But only we can be his girlfriends and wives, Asia said. Asia-san, tell me something. If Issei-san comes back, you will leave Waldseemüller-san to be Issei-san's bride, Queen Citri asked. Asia froze at that question because she didn't know what to do since she loved Issei but didn't want her to leave her boyfriend because she was in love with him. I'm going to tell you something as a friend. If Issei comes back, do him a favor, forget about him, and do as you have done until now, that he doesn't exist, said Citri, shocking everything. And mainly let him fall in love because there are really women who are really waiting for him, like One-sama and Kuroka, that they are waiting for him and not like you who say waiting for him, but there are other men, Citri commented angrily. Then she got up and walked to the door with her queen to leave. I hope you will follow the advice I gave you, said the Citri before leaving through the door with her queen by her side. Everyone in the room was in shock, as those harsh and cold words that the heiress Citri said to them were the plain truth. Then a thought ran through the minds of all those present. Maybe we don't wait long enough. Brecha Dimensional. 1 week after the arrival of Issei. It looks like you're ready. Look, controlling all that aura like that is awesome, Larva, Great Red said while washing the CHST nut tree. Thank you, Great Red, for your help, the CHST nut tree thanked him. No way, since that's a small gift for being the next dragon god, the Great Red confirmed. D-Drag, who heard that, was so excited that he cried with happiness. Since he was not the Oppi dragon, now he has a nickname for his height, and even more than that, now he is going to be respected and feared as he should be. What's wrong, D-Drag? The brown-haired man asked when he heard that his friend was crying. I'm happy, nothing more since no more Oppi dragons. Now I have a nickname worthy of me. I'm so happy that I can't stop crying, said the D-Drag with mixed feelings. Already, calm down, my friend. I'm sorry for everything I've put you through, but now I'll form a reputation worthy of you, my friend, said the brown-haired man with determination. Issei turned to where Great Red was and said it in a serious tone. Please, Great Red, don't tell anyone about what happened here, please, said the brown-haired man when he remembered the first days he spent crying in pain when he saw that his loved ones had changed him so easily. Don't worry, Larva, no one is going to know anything. For now, you better go clean up all that dirt you have in the lake. I order the Great Red to the CHST nut tree, an act that the CHST nut tree obeys, and after a few minutes, he returns already clean but with the worn clothes he had before. Well, I'm retiring, I'm going to see Offeyes and LaFay, said the brown-haired man. Wait, how are you going to go dressed that way to your females? Said the Great Red, confusing the brown-haired man. He no longer understood what he meant. You are now the one who bears the title of the next dragon god. You need to make them respect you wherever you go, and with those clothes, you are only going to make them laugh at you and make fun of us. I comment on the Great Red in a very serious way. I saw hearing that and was shocked, but then I remembered that the Great Red and Trihexa dress very well in their human forms, even Offeyes dresses like this. Then a magic circle appeared on the CHST nut tree's head as it passed over his body, changing his clothing to a more appropriate one. Now the brown-haired man was wearing sneakers and black body-hugging pants, a white long-sleeved shirt, and a red vest that adapted perfectly to the CHST nut's torso, revealing his well-worked body. His hair was the same in front, but at the back it reached his waist, and he had it tied in a thin ponytail that slid down his left shoulder, making him look even more attractive than he already was. The Great Red smiled at the new look of the CHST nut tree. Well, Larva is better now go to your females that are waiting for you, and if you need anything, just tell me, said the Great Red with a satisfactory smile. Issei was surprised by his flexible attitude, and after a few moments, he came to the conclusion that it was his power and being of the same race that treated him that way. He nodded his head, created a gap, and then disappeared into it. Human world, Pendragon Castle. So this is the home. LaFay hasn't changed much, it's still a beautiful place, the CHST nut tree commented to himself as he admired the garden. Once at the door, he knocks, and the door opens at the moment, showing a young man in servant clothes. In April, the housekeeper's door becomes so red that she can see such a handsome young man. Excuse me, young lady, I'm looking for young LaFay Pendragon. I would be so kind as to inform you that I'm looking for her, said the brown-haired man in a very elegant way, making the poor servant blush even more. But before she can answer, a gothic loli comes out with the intention of hugging him, but when she ices a few centimeters away from him, she freezes while a big blush runs down her cheeks when she sees how good the brown tree looks. She didn't know why he acted that way, but she let them pass. She still didn't understand well what was meant by feelings. Seconds later, the magician comes out to greet him, but when she sees him, she is petrified to see how handsome and sassy he looks. His heart begins to beat as if there were no tomorrow. I see that seeing his girlfriend that way, he thinks she really looks adorable and thinks about playing a little joke on her. He approaches the magician slowly, making her blush intensify. She just gets 100 where her boyfriend hugs her by the waist with delicacy and love, making the beautiful magician blow smoke from her head because of how embarrassed she is to have him so close. At that moment, Issei is in her ear, says softly, you look extremely beautiful when you are embarrassed, and kisses her tenderly, making the magician lose herself in her mind. Since the contact is simply carried away by that moment, your heart does not stop beating like crazy. After a few moments, they separate, leaving a thin thread of sap. I know why we shouldn't go in, Offei said, pulling the couple out of his thoughts. True, my parents are waiting for you, said the magician with a big smile. They all passed, walking down a long corridor until they reached a very large room where there was a couple waiting for them, who, when the brown-haired man saw them, chose a serious attitude. Have a very good afternoon, Lord and Lady Pendragon, said the brown-haired man when he reached the front of them, bowing his head a little in respect. Have a very good afternoon, young Hyodo, Lord Pendragon said in a calm manner. In Brown, I waited for a female voice to digest something similar, but it never came, and when I looked at Lady Pendragon, I was surprised. Although really not only Lord Pendragon and Lefay were, and this was because Lady was totally red with her eyes open because of how handsome and sassy the brown man looked. In addition to the fact that when she saw those eyes, they made her shudder. The right eye showed her tranquility. But at the same time it was full of tranquility and respect, while the left was warm and deep but also transmitted maturity and wisdom. "Mother is fine," asked a worried Lefay when she saw her mother in that way. Hey, ha, if I'm sorry, have a very good afternoon, young Hyodo, Lady replied a little calmer while everyone took their seats. Issei sat in a long armchair with off-eyes on his right and a very nervous Lefay on the left. Issei, seeing her like this, takes her hand to reassure her. Lord and Lady Pendragon, who were sitting in another armchair in front of them, saw the action and showed them that he really loves her, although they still don't know to what extent. Lord and Lady Pendragon, I will go straight to the spot. I am in your presence for 2 reasons, said the brown-haired man, attracting everyone's attention. First, I am here before you to ask you to cancel the engagement with the Deverut house, the brown-haired man asked in a serious tone. Second, I came for your daughter's hand, said the brown-haired man with a determined look while a certain magician turned red at such words, although they really made her very happy. Lefay's parents were surprised at what Castano said. They knew that she had feelings for the Securiute, but what they did not know is that the Securiute also had feelings for their daughter, and there were so many that he was in front of them, asking for her hand. They were really glad that, although William Deverut was not a saint, at least he would have his daughter safe if they tried something against her. But if she was with the Securiute, who would dare to lay a hand on the wife of one of the strongest men in the world? But before they can say anything, the door bursts open, revealing a high-status man with black hair and formal attire and a thin face. I have come for my fiancée, where my beautiful princess is, said the young man with a lascivious face, but he changed her anger and displeasure when he saw his fiancée so close and holding the hand of another man. What are you doing here, William, stop calling me that. I'm not going to marry you, the magician complained with anger in her eyes. William, on the way to where she was. Stop playing. You know that only with me are you safe, so come with me at once, said young William angrily, but when he was about to grab his hand, the brown-haired man stopped him. What are you doing, dirty commoner? Let me go. You're going to contaminate me with your dirt, William complained to the brown-haired man that he simply ignored. Issei gets up from the couch while squeezing the black-haired man's hand harder until he breaks it. In a second, the screams of pain coming from the black-haired man were heard. Issei lets go of her hand and falls to the floor in pain. At that moment, everything in the room becomes cold and the air heavy. This is because Issei released a minimum part of her aura, making everyone begin to breathe with difficulty. The brown-haired man, seeing that, concentrates so that all his aura is directed only at young William. Lefay's parents were surprised by the powerful aura that the CHST tree had. I'll only tell you 2 things, said the brown-haired man to the black-haired man, who was on the ground almost unconscious because of the powerful aura he felt. The first is to show respect when you are in my presence, said the brown-haired man in a serious tone. The second, absolutely no one touches my wife, understand? Asked the brown-haired man, receiving a yes, nothing more from the black-haired man before falling unconscious. Issei puts her aura back away, sits down again next to Off-Eyes, and grabs him by the brunette's arm again. Lefay was blushing to see how he defended her and more for having called her his wife, making her feel extremely happy. Well then, where did we stay, Lord and Lady Pendragon? Said the brown-haired man calmly. The Lord and Lady saw the unconscious William under the CHST man's feet, and they did not know what to say. Truly, it is true that saying, "Dodo not touch the things of a dragon, you have made yourself a good man, daughter," said the Lord happily as they took away an unconscious William. The brown-haired man was surprised and touched the back of his neck with his hand as a sign of embarrassment while blushing a little on the part of Lefay, who had his face covered with his hands by embarrassment, although he had a big smile knowing that the man who loves him reciprocates his feelings. Well, young Hyodo, how about you get married in 3 weeks? Said the lady to the young man who was surprised. Since I see that my daughter loves you very much and you reciprocate, besides that we had everything prepared for the wedding with William, we can take advantage and marry my daughter at once. Lady said with a big smile since she knew that her daughter was not going to do the only one but at least she was going to make her first thick. Issei froze at the proposal, and Lefay was fuming with embarrassment. Although she must have admitted it, the idea fascinated her, since she can marry the person she loves so much and fulfill that dream she had always had since the brown-haired man left to start a family by her side. And although she knew that she was not going to be the only one, at least she was going to be with the person she loves and who earned her unconditional love. After a few minutes of silence, the CHST tree stands up and disappears into a gap, surprising everyone present. Lefay is sad, thinking that perhaps the CHST tree did not love her enough to marry her. While I was thinking about that, another gap opened up again, which came out Toto Bebe Brown, but everyone was surprised to see that in his hand he had a piece of charcoal that was extremely black. Issei approaches Lefei, kneeling on one leg in front of her, who looks at her with surprise and doubt. Then he gently takes her hand while looking into her eyes. She looks him in the eyes and blushes because those beautiful eyes reflect immense love and affection. He puts the coal between the two of them and says it in a calm and loving tone. Eli Fei Pendragon, in the short time we have been together, you have shown me a love that I had not felt in years. You have made me feel like a lucky man to be able to spend even a few moments by your side, since you are a wonderful person and a very beautiful woman. That is why I am here to ask you if you would do me the great honor of making this dragon the happiest in the world by becoming his wife," said the CHST net as the piece of coal shone into a beautiful gold ring with a beautiful diamond encrusted in yellow. Everyone present was surprised, except Issei, of course, who had the same expression. Lord and Lady had their eyes wide open at such a scene, and even more so at the power that the ring had since, despite being beautiful, it had a dragonian aura. But Fei did not know how to respond, since in front of her was the only man she has always respected and loved from all over the world, with whom she had always wanted to be and always dreamed of marrying. She was asking him to be his wife. Tears ran down her cheeks, but these were not of sadness but rather of happiness, since there was the man she loves kneeling in front of her with a ring on his hand, asking to be his wife, fulfilling the little dream she had longed for the most. She could not believe the words did not come out of her mouth, while tears continued to run down her cheeks without stopping. They could only move their heads as a sign of confirmation while saying a deaf yes. Yes. The brown-haired man smiled at her, took her hand that was trembling, and placed the ring on one of her fingers. She saw this and threw herself into the arms of her beloved fiancé, giving him a big kiss. When they separated, they looked at each other, and each one told the other they loved each other. Lord and Lady Pendragon, it would be an honor for me to marry your daughter, Lefei Pendragon, said the brown-haired man as he turned to see them with Lefei in his arms, who did not want to let go. They simply nodded and said that in 3 weeks the wedding would be. They also asked him if he wanted to invite someone either from heaven or the underworld. There are no problems. But he only said that he wanted his parents to be present and that the wedding be private, since no one in the supernatural world knows that I am alive and would like to stay like this even if it is for a few more weeks. To which Lefei's parents nodded as they understood why. And so time passed. Issei and Lefei spent time together deepening their love. It is not necessary to say that the magician was so very happy. Also, Issei spent a lot of time with Issei, teaching her about feelings and being able to speak and act in her own way without being influenced by others. In that time she spent with the brown-haired tree, she developed a great attachment to him and was also able to understand what she felt. 3 days before they got married, she went to visit her parents to pick them up and also be able to talk a little with them, since she had not seen them for a long time, and to introduce them to her fiancé. Human World, Ku City, Hyoto Residence. 3 people could be seen in front of a more or less large house. It was no longer the same mansion as before, now it was a 3-story single-minded house. It's going to change a lot, said the brown-haired man, surprised. After they all graduated from Ku University, they each took their own path, although they still get along well and see each other very often. They don't live here anymore, so it was decided to make a house comfortable enough for your parents to live the time of their lives in peace and quiet. And with that, the leaders made this house comfortable enough for a couple, explained the somewhat nervous magician. When I see them, I'll thank them, said the brown-haired man, coming over to ring the bell. Immediately, a slightly older woman comes out, but when she sees the brown-haired man, she begins to shed tears. Hello Aka-san, how have you been? Asked the brown-haired man, happy to see his mother. It's really you. When my son asked the mother for tears, the father, hearing what his wife said, ran to the door to start shedding tears of happiness when he saw his son again. Hello, Adu-san, how have you been? Said the brown-haired man calmly, but the parents still couldn't say anything about the joy they had at seeing their son alive. Adu-sa, Aka-san, I'm back, said the brown-haired man as he held his arms while smiling happily while tears of happiness ran down his cheeks. Human World, Ku, Hyoto Residence. They all went to the house. Issei told them everything that had happened to her and how she lived. Then her parents told her everything they had gone through, and now they live peacefully. Son, tell me something, Riaz and the girls know you're alive, the mother asked curiously. No, Aka-san, in fact, no one knows, said the brown-haired man, calmly lowering his head with a touch of sadness in his eyes, because even if he is happy, they are happy. He lowers his head with a touch of sadness in his eyes, because even if he is happy, they are happy. Remember that they all forgot about him very quickly. The mother saw his reaction and thought it had to be tough. What are you going to do then? What will you tell them? This time? The father asked. I won't do anything, Adu-san, they've already made their lives, and I'm trying mine, the brown-haired man replied when he felt the hand of Lefei and Off-Ice. And as for whether to tell them if I'll do it but not yet, it's too early. Besides, I've come to tell you something very important, says the brown-haired man, looking at Lefei, who turns red, making her look very beautiful in the eyes of the brown-haired man, while the parents wondered what it would be. I want to introduce you to Lefei Pendragon, my fiancée and future wife, said the brown-haired man in a happy way. The aforementioned stood up, bowed, and told them how they had been, since she already knew them as they had her. The parents, when they heard the news, were quite surprised since they did not expect it. Hold on, son, are you serious? Are you going to marry her? The parents asked, confused and surprised. He nodded, and Lefei was a little sad because he thought that they did not want her to be his wife, until he felt that they took his hands. When he saw who they were, he was surprised since they were the parents of his beloved, with tears in his eyes and a big smile. We entrusted you with our son, dear Fei-chan. I hope he is enough for me to make you happy, the mother commented with great happiness. God, our grandchildren will be precious to have such a beautiful mother, the father finished. Don't worry, Mrs. Hayato, since I-sama is the person who makes me immensely happy, and about your grandchildren, Mr. Hayato, and I will strive to give them some nice grandchildren, said the magician, sword and red and about to collapse from embarrassment, while Issei only smiled because she loved to see her beloved in such a beautiful way. Tell me, Aka-san, said the happy mother. And me, Arusa, dear, said the father. Welcome to our family, they both said at the same time, making the magician very happy but also so embarrassed that she couldn't stand it anymore if she fainted. Issei held her softly, laid her down on the couch while putting her head on her legs, and gently caressed her cheek with a lot of love and affection. Parents, when they see such a scene, smile calmly since their son, despite everything remaining the same. Then they got ready to talk. The brown-haired man told them to get married very soon and that he would like them to attend, an act that they accepted without hesitation. Then he asked them if Riaz and the girls had come. He had that doubt since he came. They told them very little, a few times a year to see how they were. Also, the brown-haired man told them that he could extend their lives a little to see if they wanted. An act that they accepted since they wanted to see how many grandchildren they were going to have and how many women their son was going to marry, since they knew that Lefei was not the only one who really loved him and that there were more than I expected. The brown-haired man inserted a minimal fraction of power into their bodies, extending their lives, so they spent the afternoon talking and laughing with Off-Ice, who talks to them a little since the brown-haired man recommended that they socialize a little so that they get used to people. Later, when Lefei woke up, the CHST Nut Tree's parents were no longer there, only the CHST Nut Tree and Off-Ice, who was lying on the other lap with her eyes closed, relaxing with the caresses that the CHST Nut Tree was giving her on her head and face. Good afternoon, my sleeping beauty, you slept well, asked the brown-haired man with a smile, making the magician's heart race a lot while her cheeks were dyed red, and it didn't help at all that he was caressing her hair, relaxing her more. She could only put her hands on her face, hiding her blush. Don't worry, you look very beautiful when you're like this, and even more so when you sleep, said the brown-haired man, blushing more at the blonde, but she felt like it was a dream to be able to be with him like this. Once she sat up, they stayed in the room talking quietly. Off-Ice also commented from time to time since she was less and less rigid in the way she expressed herself. In the evening, they have dinner with the parents of the CHST Nut Tree, and after a bath, each one goes to sleep, of course, with the parents in their room and the CHST Nut Tree with his two companions in another, with Issei in the center and Lefei and Off-Ice on each side. Lefei wore two-piece pajamas to sleep, long plain pants that fit her body perfectly, making her voluptuous hips and sexy legs noticeable. A plain pink blouse that matched her sexy figure with a bust that looked irresistible. Issei had to admit that Lefei was a woman, but thanks to that, she had problems, because although she has been sleeping with her for a while, the temptation to see her like this and devour her was many. But thanks to D-Drag, she controlled herself, something since sometimes he touched her breasts and buttocks, an act that she let out a few slight mons, making the brown-haired man very excited. She also slept with Off-Ice, and although the feeling she had continued to grow, it did not provoke much since she still had the appearance of a child. Time passed very quickly. It was time for the wedding, where only the Pendragon family and the Hayato family were present since it was a private wedding, and Off-Ice, who was with the parents of the CHST Nut Tree, since she has a certain feeling of attachment or gratitude towards them, and they always treated her well. In front of the altar, you could see a man dying of nerves. Don't worry, mate, everything is going to be fine. I know that the feelings of love she feels for you are true, said the dragon, trying to reassure his friend. I know, D-Drag, but I feel nervous. Don't you think all this is very fast? I mean, just a few weeks we came back and we're getting tired, said the brown-haired man nervously. Of course not. Yao have had very deep feelings for her since long before we were sealed, and she is just like you. The dragon said, trying to get that idea out of his head, but when he sees his partner, he realizes that he is not succeeding since the brown-haired man is trembling. Seriously, mate, you have fought with demons, fallen angels, gods, mystical beasts, and evil dragons. You even fought against the Trihexa hand in hand and without any fear, and you are here trembling at the thought of getting married. The dragon suppressed his friend since he could not believe it. Besides, look how happy she looks, said the dragon, making the brown-haired man shocked by how beautiful his bride looks dressed as a bride. Issei, when she saw her like this, stopped trembling. She was amazed at such beautiful other art. Lefei arrives next to him, and what he sees in his eyes makes the brown-haired man blush, thinking, how can there be such a beautiful and adorable person? The brown-haired man returns his gaze and says, you look beautiful, making the magician blush for the aforementioned, and seeing how handsome he looks did not help her to control her blush either, but even so, he smiled, and he was happy because he was finally fulfilling his long-awaited and greatest dream, to be with the person he loves with all his heart. Good luck, mate. It's time for you to become a man. I'll go to sleep. The dragon said with a smile that his partner was happy, then went to sleep without first hearing them say thank you. The wedding continues normally, followed by a small party to congratulate them for 1 to 2 hours. With the commitments finished, the couple went to their hotel somewhere in England to spend their honeymoon, while Offeyes went with the parents of the chestnut tree so that she was not alone. Human world, somewhere in England, hotel. The couple arrived with a magic circle to their room that they had booked. El Catano carries her like a princess to the bedroom, where he gently puts her on the bed. They begin to kiss quietly, and little by little they change from calm to passionate. Issei sees each other and tells her eyes that they look at him with passion and desire. Fei-chan, if we continue with this, you will be marked by me, and no one else besides me can touch you. You will be only mine forever, the brunette explained with concern to the blonde. I don't care, Issei-sama, I just want to be yours and no one else's. I just want you to be the one to touch me and kiss me. I also want you to be the only one to make love to me, the blonde said that last with a seductive voice, making the brunette can't take it anymore and begin to kiss her again, but this time more passionate, making the blonde leave, getting more and more excited from the blonde way that kisses her. At one point, the brunette slides down until he reaches the neck, as the blonde begins to breathe excitedly while letting out small moans. Without realizing it, the brunette was already taking off her dress little by little and enjoying the view that his now wife gives him. When she finished, she could appreciate those beautiful, firm breasts and her pink S, that firm and round butt, and that white skin that makes her look more beautiful and seductive. Issei-sama, don't look at me so much that I'm embarrassed, the blonde complained with a completely red face. I see, seeing her like this can't take it anymore and begin to kiss and LCK her S, making the blonde give small moans of pleasure. The blonde moaned as she felt how the brunette devoured her breasts. The brunette bit one of those S that was standing, making the blonde moan harder. Issei-sama, please, yes. Keep it up, I turn. I'll go crazy, said the blonde, already very excited, and even if she digested that she didn't want her to stop for anything in the world, the pleasure she felt at that moment cannot be compared to anything she has experienced. Issei, hearing her, begins to take small bites at the blonde's 2S, making her moan louder. Issei-sama, if it continues like this, I will go. I'm not going to be able to take it anymore. Was the scream that the blonde gave when she reached her first orgasm. Issei stops and looks at her, looking at her with a smile as she hashes a full look as she breathes excitedly. Then the blonde lays him down on the bed and takes off his shirt, showing his very well-shaped body, making him LCK his lips unconsciously while passing his hands, all his muscles exciting her more and more. Then she takes off his pants and boxers that he was showing his member in the sight of the blonde being very impressed by the size he had, making his lips LCK a second time, and wondering if all that fits in her and also what she will know. Then the blonde brings the blonde's member to the lips, giving him small kisses and small lips, making the brunette feel pleasure. Once she felt the taste of the member, she didn't know why, but know that now that she didn't want to let go. She opened her mouth, stretching her member while making movements up and down, making the brunette let out small moans. The blonde continued with the movement faster and faster. She didn't know why, but she loved the taste of her husband's penis if she could spend the whole day sucking it. But at that moment, a thought came to her, what does she know about her essence? And with that thought, she began to accelerate the movement of her mouth faster and faster. The blonde begins to get more and more excited when she hears the moans of the brunette, making her lower her hand and give herself pleasure. Fei-chan, I'm about to come, said the brunette, while the blonde just wanted him to release it in her mouth to taste it, and so it was. Issei couldn't take it anymore and came in the blonde's mouth, making her inflate the cheeks of the amount she released while she swallowed it all without wasting a drop. The flavor that had charmed it more than you imagined was thick and hot but had a really rich flavor. Issei throws her on the bed while heading to her intimacy. The brunette begins to kiss the lips of the blondes, making her moan with pleasure over and over again. Issei is. It feels fantastic, the blonde commented while the brunette had her intimacy, which was crowned by blonde locks that made her look very sassy. They see me. I'm coming, Issei. That was what the blonde said while she communed in the brunette's mouth, making him swallow everything gladly. Americo, you are very tasty, my dear Fei-chan, said the brunette to a blonde with a super red face, breathing agitatedly. The brunette puts her in a more comfortable position and puts his member in the blonde's. Here I go, my dear Fei-chan, said the brunette as he puts his member in the blonde's garter and wet, making her hug him harder and harder. Seeing this, the brunette stops and asks her if she is okay and if she wants to stop, but she tells him not to continue, that is fine. Then she puts her member deeper until she reaches a wall that passes it, making the blonde moan in pain but at the same time with pleasure, and a few moments later a trickle of blood runs down her. After he stays in that position for a few minutes so that Fei gets used to it, the brown-haired man begins to move little by little, an action that makes the blonde moan more and more as she no longer feels pain but pleasure. She let out a cry of pleasure as she felt how the chestnut tree reached the depths of her being, making her feel truly good. More by favor more, quick, the blonde asked as she gradually lost herself in. I saw hearing her couldn't help but smile and began to increase the thrusts more and more. Keep going. I'm going to come. It was the months that gave me pleasure, but the brown man just kept ramming her more and more. It was the big mon that the blonde gave as she communed and bathed the brown-haired member with her liquids. You've come again, my dear Fei-chan, said the brown-haired man when he saw the blonde breathing heavily with a red face, but with a smile, he arrived with satisfaction and pleasure. Yes, but this is not over yet, said the blonde, laying the brunette down and climbing on top of him. You haven't communed yet. How would a good wife be if I couldn't satisfy my husband? Said the blonde as she inserted her beloved's member into her. Making the two moan with pleasure, Issei felt how the blonde squeezed her member more, making sure it felt very good, and Fei felt how she stuck her beloved's member in her uterus. Then the blonde starts to move her hips, making both him and her moan with pleasure. Really, in that position, he felt too good. I'm not going to leave you all the fun, commented the brunette while grabbing the blonde's hips, making the whole member enter the Issei-sama. The blonde moaned as she felt how the member hit her uterus faster and faster. Yes-sama-mas poor Faber, moaned the blonde, already lost in. Mhe vango sasma, said the blonde with difficulty as she felt all the pleasure that her husband was giving her. I'm coming too, commented the brown-haired man. Pos favor thermines nmhi interior, the blonde begged to feel the cum inside her. They were the mons of the couple. Fei felt extremely happy when she felt Issei's semen. I could finally be Issei-sama's wife was the blonde's last thought before falling almost asleep with pleasure and exhaustion when she climaxed 3 times. The chestnut tree slopes her to his side. She reflexively feels his presence clinging to him and falls asleep, hugging him on her scent with a big smile of happiness. I see seeing her like this. He only smiles as he hugs her closer to him, covers her, and falls asleep next to his wife with a big smile. What they didn't realize was that a red circular mark with the head of a dragon inside appeared on Fei's left shoulder. Underworld, Gremory Castle. Ria's Gremory can be seen clutching her scent as if she felt something important to her being taken away from her. She whispered before falling asleep. And not only her, but the entire Gremory group, not counting Ravel, felt that someone had taken something that was extremely important to them. Human world, somewhere in England, hotel. The next morning, a brown-haired man could be seen awake, watching his beautiful wife sleep so peacefully that she had him in her arms with a big smile on her beautiful face. You seem like a happy companion, said the dragon, calling the attention of the brown-haired man. How could I not be? Commented the brown-haired man while giving a light caress to the blonde who was next to him. I thought it would hurt you more, the Gremory girls thing, that dragon said a little curiously. And that's how D-Drag was. But thanks to the great red, I'm fine, said the brown-haired man, remembering his week of training. Training, I remember. Well, larva, before we start your training, get out all that sadness in your heart, said Great Red, a sad brown. Issei couldn't take it anymore and began to cry inconsolably while expelling much of his power, getting stronger and stronger as he remembered the loss of those people he loved. He wanted so much to go and hug them, but he knew it wasn't the right thing to do, and they made their lives and found love in another man who was not him. Those thoughts were tearing him apart. After a while, Issei calmed down, and Drake spoke to him. Comrade, you know that you are here for everything, said the dragon, trying to give his support to his friend. Yes, thank you, my friend, said the dark-haired man more calmly. To want you to remember that although they are no longer there are other females who have been waiting for you all this time, Drake commented when remembering everything the magician said a while ago. Issei recalled that Lefay told her that even though the Gremory group Isis married or dating, there are other women who have been alone waiting for their return. Well, remembering those words really cheered up a little bit that there are still some people that he loves and appreciates and would give anything for them, said the brown-haired man, already happy. Really happy, really, after seeing all the pain and tears that he had saved taken out. He feels much better and only had the thought of going for those who have waited for him and are waiting for him and leaving the Gremory group calmly because for him from that moment on he decided to forget about them. I'm glad you think that way, so come on, I'll always be with you, Theou, the dragon commented, happy with what the brown-haired man was thinking. Aha, said the brown-haired man with a smile on his face. It seems that you are already better. Well, then let's start with your training, said the great red, encouraging the brown-haired man. End of remembrance. When Issei was immersed in her thoughts, Lefay was waking up little by little. She sees the brunette who has her in his arms and remembers everything they did the night before, making the blonde blush so much that she covers her face with the sheets. Companion, your female has already woken up, said the dragon, taking out his thoughts from the CHST tree and coming to his senses. Issei sees his dear wife again, who was blushing and covering her face with the blanket. Issei, seeing this, only hashes one thought, she looks so demonic and cute. This agrees with you, mate, Drake commented when he saw that the blonde really looked very cute that way. Good morning, how my beautiful princess slept, said the brown-haired girl, drawing the blonde's attention and blushing more when she was called that way. Well, Isama and you, how did it dawn? Dawn? Asked a blushing blonde as she remembered what happened the night before. Taking into account the fact that I woke up hugging an extremely beautiful woman, I have to say that I woke up quite well, the brunette replied with a smile when he saw the blonde embarrassed even more. The brown-haired man, at one point, grabs the waist to raise it to his CHSN to face each other. The blonde, when she is in front of her beloved, looks him in the eyes and realizes that he has a look full of love and affection, making her heart start beating very fast since he is expressing so much love and affection with just one look. At that moment, she felt the happiest woman in the world, and without wasting any more time, she begins to kiss him with a lot of love and affection but also with passion and, although she does not know why. But every time she feels the lips of the brown-haired man, a desire invades her, and it did not help at all when she felt the well-formed torso exposed. And from kiss to kiss, things heated up until they ended up making love again, making the blonde man with so much pleasure that she made him feel, and the brunette could not avoid it since the blonde's body was too addictive. Her white skin, firm and perfect breasts with pink S, her wide hips, her long and seductive legs, and to finish, that beautiful face she has with those beautiful eyes and that beautiful smile, she was like a goddess among mortals. Although for the blonde it was not much different since first this one who is the man she has always loved and admired, with a very well-shaped body, very well-shaped muscleless muscles, a strong long back, a firm butt, and best of all, she still could not believe a very large and tasty member that made her feel at the climax every time she felt it inside her. After about 4 hours of many mons and comes on the part of the two of them, you can see a smiling Lefay with a heavy breath while resting on the CHSN of her beloved husband, hugging him. Lefay did not know why, but the tranquility, calm, and security that the embrace of her beloved transmitted to her was something she wanted to have for all eternity. Issei had her in his arms, and he ran his hand over the red dragon mark on her left shoulder, indicating that it only belonged to him. He didn't know why, but it made him feel very happy to have a woman like Lefay as a wife. Sif until he finally behaves like a man and not like a perverted imbecile. Sif Drake said to himself with tears when he saw that his wearer was no longer a pervert. Fei-chan, you want to go for a walk around the city, and we'll have breakfast outside while you're at it? The brown-haired man asked his beloved. Yes, if I would love Ai-sama, answered the blonde very excitedly. Okay, then let's go, said the brunette, kissing the blonde, who happily returned him to the bathroom. When he was about to enter, he was stopped by a very blushing blonde. Seeing her, Chuwas was surprised to see that she had a red face and was trying to say something. Samael, I can accompany you. Take a bath, said the blonde very shyly, and her cheeks were red. Issei was speechless at such a request. Chesh was so shocked that she could not speak. Once in shock, he took the hand of the blonde, who was naked, to the delight of the eye, to guide her to the bathroom to shower together. Once inside, Issei couldn't resist seeing his wife naked, so he began to kiss her passionately more and more while the blonde responded by getting more excited, since she wanted to do it again with her husband because the feeling of being his while devouring her was all pleasant and satisfying. And it is that, of course, he is already a complete dragon who, by instinct, tends to be very possessive and more so when it comes to having sex while releasing pheromones that make females more excited and want to continue having sex, also making females totally submissive to feel fully satisfied. It was the mon that the blonde gave when she felt how the brown-haired man inserted his member into her wet. "Fei-chan, you are so beautiful, you feel so good, and you pressure me so much that it makes me more aroused and thinking about making you mine at every moment," said the brunette while kissing the blonde's neck, making her be in total climax, causing her first orgasm. If I-sama make me yours please, I want to be yours only from no one else, I want to feel everything," moaned the blonde in total pleasure as she was penetrated from behind in her over and over again consecutively, making her legs begin to fail because of the sensation of pleasure she feels all over her body. But the brown-haired man holds her so that she does not fall and does not hurt herself, so he puts her in front of him so that he is looking at her while he holds her by his round and soft rear to penetrate her again, making her moan when she felt how she reached her uterus, and by reflex he wraps his legs around her waist so that for nothing in the world he takes her out of there. "If I-sama is faster, the blonde asked, screaming between moans. I see her starting to move faster and faster while sucking the blonde's breasts, making her scream harder as she feels she has reached climax again. "Fei-chan, I can't take it anymore," said the brunette, warning the blonde that he was coming, and the blonde, hearing him, began to move her hips faster and faster, making the brunette let out small moans of pleasure. It was the blonde's moan of pleasure when she felt how the brown man came inside her, causing her to also take revenge and have her second orgasm. And if it were not for the brown that was holding her, she would have already fainted from the pleasure she felt. Fei was breathing hard while her face was red, but with a big smile. Seeing her like this only smiles when she sees how beautiful she looks. After the bath, they go out to get ready and go for a walk around the city. Issei wore long dark blue pants and a plain white sleeveless walk, revealing her well-shaped pectorals and arms, while Fei wore a white dress that reached to the knees and left her shoulders uncovered, also showing her red dragon mark on her left shoulder with pride as she felt happy to see her with his beloved. They walked along a beach that was near the hotel for a few minutes after they found a nice place to have breakfast, so they left holding hands, leaving everyone, both men and women, blushing. For the women to see Issei, it was a delight for them, with his long hair tied up, a very beautiful face with eyes of each color that made him look very handsome, his well-shaped arms, and his good torso that was noticeable by the shirt, leaving the red women with their many fantasies. While for the shoulders, seeing Fei was like seeing the woman as an angel with loose blonde hair, white and thin skin, perfect breasts, wide hips, and long white legs, and with that dress she was wearing, it made her look more beautiful than she already was. Even when they saw the red dragon mark on her left shoulder, it generated a lot of intrigue, but for some reason it made her look very sassy. Of course, that thought was only from normal humans, as the supernatural people who passed by and focused all their attention on the brand could feel a tremendous, big-minded energy. Issei, realizing that there are people from the supernatural world, begins to let her aura come out, causing all those people to start trembling from the powerful aura. While they have a single thought together, Dragon, realizing this, they also think of one thing, that girl is marked by him if someone approaches her without his permission to be more than dead. It was the only thing that was going through their minds, and with that same thought, they began to move away from the place. They did not stop trembling when they felt her aura. When they had finished breakfast, Issei took his beloved to a dry park for a walk, while Fei was holding onto her husband's arm. As time went by, they went to lunch at another restaurant, and in the afternoon, they ate an ice cream that Issei bought for both of them. Fei was extremely happy to be with the brown-haired man because he treated her like a princess and was able to spend the whole day with the person she loves. Underworld, Forest. A week after the brown-haired man's wedding, an albino could be seen fighting with two beautiful girls before a certain man appeared, interrupting the fight. They had become very strong, the man said calmly, making everyone see him and fencing where he is. "Azazel, what are you doing here?" asked the albino with intrigue when he saw the fallen one. "Good morning, Azazel-sama," said the two girls at the same time. "Me, how are you girls? Although from what I see very well." I mentioned the fallen one, making them blush since the bodies of both of them are surrounded by Vali's dragon aura. "Don't bother them, Azazel, and you'd better tell me to come, since I doubt it's just a visit," said the albino, diverting the topic of the girls. "Hey haha, calm down, Vali. It just amuses me. Anyway, I came to ask you if you haven't seen Off-Eyes lately," asked the fallen one, a little worried. "Now that you mention her, I haven't heard from her for a long time," the albino replied, somewhat worried. "Okay, I just wanted to ask you that," said the fallen, not disappointed. "Are you worried that the attacks we have received have something to do with her?" asked the albino. "I am worried that she is their target, although in the last 3 years we have received several attacks. You still do not know who it was or what they are looking for. And that is already beginning to worry the other fractions since they have tried to enter heaven 3 times, said the fallen man with great regret. In his words, he no longer has any clue as to who is causing problems in the supernatural world. The next time I see her, I'm going to tell her to be careful, although I don't know when I see her since you know that she is not so close to me. And since Hyoto left 10 years ago, she has moved away a little from all of us, said the albino, a little annoyed because he no longer had his rival to fight with. Yes, Issei was here, I wouldn't worry since I would know that she would be with him. Off-Eyes was always interested in him. That really surprised me, said the fallen man with a smile, remembering those times. Who is Issei? Meyer asked the albino with great curiosity. Hyoto Issei is the other celestial dragon besides me, my rival, and my best friend. He said the latter in a low voice so that no one would hear. The boy who was a pervert but always gave everything for his friends and who saved everyone from the beast of the apocalypse, Lavany commented with great curiosity since he did not remember it very well. Aha, I wonder what would have happened if I were here, said the fallen man, laughing. I don't know, but I'm still waiting for him. Since he has to face me and know which of the two celestial dragons is more powerful, I hope that when he comes back he will be really strong, said the albino with a smile. I'd like to meet him in person, Lavany said calmly, thinking about what it would be like to have him in front of me. I'd like to too, to see if what they say is true, Maya said with some intrigue. Everything is real, I can assure you, said the fallen man to the two girls. Then he seized the wine who was with his thoughts. Volley, from what I see, you still have faith that he will return, the fallen commented doubtfully, since he did not believe that Issei would really survive that battle. Of course, they are not easy to kill, and you know it better than anyone, the albino replied with a smile, then looked the fallen man in the eyes again. From what I hear, you don't have much hope that he will return alive, said the albino doubtfully. It's not that Volley, but that I was there when he arrived, and I also know how strong the Trihexa was, and the truth is that it's hard to believe that he's still alive, said the fallen man, somewhat sadly remembering that moment when he saved them. He's alive, and something tells me that we'll see him again, maybe sooner than we thought, said the albino with a smile. Aha, if you are right as it is, Issei is surely alive and safe. By the way, Volley, what do you three do here and with your other women? Asked the fallen man doubtfully since they are always all together. I'm training. I can barely control the dragon Lucifer driven, and I have a long way to go to control the power that Off-Eyes gave me, the albino replied, somewhat frustrated since he lacks a lot of training. Lavinia went back to the magic school that they called her, Reiken is with her family, who also called her, and Ebel is helping Yasaka with the wedding of his daughter and Kuroka's sister, answered the albino, but he noticed something in the fallen when he mentioned the wedding. Are you worried about something, Azazel? Asked the albino when he saw something strange in the attitude of the fallen man about the wedding. It's just that I'm disappointed in some people, nothing more, replied the fallen man to the albino's doubt. You're talking about the Gremory group, the albino mentioned, while the two girls who were with him were surprised to mention them. Yes, even though I sacrificed himself for them, they simply continued his life shortly after. After they swore eternal love, they changed him when he was gone, said the fallen one in a tone of disappointment and somewhat annoyed. But there are still people waiting for him, like Kuroka-chan, Lavany commented, trying to calm the fallen one. Yes, but they were the reason why Eyes became strong and why he always fights so much because the simple mind wanted them to be safe. He fought against all demons, fallen angels, beasts, gods, and dragons, and although the enemy was much stronger than him, he never gave up since he fought for them when he needed them, and now that he needs them, they abandoned him. The girls who heard that were surprised by everything he did for them. That really bothers me. When Akina was going to marry Zaston, I talked to her to convince her to wait for Eyes, but she simply ignored me and told me that she had already waited a long time and wanted to rebuild her life, said the fallen, even more annoyed than before. And for a moment, everything was silent until it was broken by a rather interesting comment. I wonder what they'll do if he comes back, Lavany commented with a somewhat somber smile. I'd like to see what face they will make, Maya said, quite interested. I don't really know, but something tells me that we will know very soon, said the albino with a look at the sky. Mundo Himano Tokyo Kyoto. Mom, how are the wedding invitations going? Bigunto Kanu is a little worried. Well, daughter, they were sent a week ago, and they are already beginning to confirm who could attend, said the older Kitsune to her daughter to reassure her. Thank you very much for helping us, Yasaka-san, the albino Nico thanked. You don't have to thank me, besides, I want everything to go well, said the eldest Kitsune. Human world, outside Japan, island. Who would have thought that really buying this island and building a house here would be so easy and simple, said the chestnut tree when he was located on a small island, which had a mansion that was not very large but not small either. The house had 3 floors, 2 on the surface and 1 underground. In the upper part are the bedrooms, which each have an individual bathroom. In the lower part are the kitchen, the dining room, a library, a cinema room, and the living room, which has a large television with different consoles around. In addition, the living room overlooks the pool at the back of the house. It also has a corridor where it has some outdoor hot springs. In the underground part are the kitchen, the dining room, a library, a cinema room, and the living room, which has a large television with different consoles around. In addition, the living room overlooks the pool at the back of the house. It also has a corridor where it has some outdoor hot springs. In the underground part is a training field with everything equipped, and finally, it also has a training field a little further away from the house. You really know how to invest, the dragon commented to his friend. commented the CHSD nut tree. Since he returned, he made all the money of the Oppai dragon and began to invest in businesses all over the world. After a little over 3 weeks, he began to create 3 hotels in different parts of the world and several restaurants with the brand The Red Dragon, having already made enough income in such a short time. Now what are you planning to do? D-Drake commented to the brown-haired man. I still haven't mastered that transformation 100% in training, and if it's true what the Trihexa said, an enemy will really appear soon, and I want to be prepared for what happens. What will you do with your females and those that will come? The dragon asked, intrigued. I'm going to train Fei Chan a little to make him stronger, and I think I'll need their help too, said the brown-haired man with a smile on his face. By the way, you already have an idea of who has the power that was stolen from the Trihexa. D-Drake was very interested. I'm not very sure, but all the clues I've been able to collect only point in one direction, said the brown-haired man quite seriously. I imagine it, said the dragon was as serious as the brown-haired one. They both said it at the same time. With the war he has against Shiva, it may be the one, but even more so if it was him, he must be stopped, since we do not know how much power he can control, the dragon said in a serious tone. The problem is that Indra is on a journey according to his subordinate. The brown-haired man commented, very worried that the god wouldn't appear. Comrade, because you don't go and talk to Shiva, maybe you can come to an agreement, D-Drake recommended. It's not a bad idea. As soon as he can, I go to visit him, said the brown-haired man with a smile. Human World, Pendragon House. After Lefei and Issei's wedding, they went on a honeymoon trip and managed to enjoy their intimacy. They are living in the CHSD at Pendragon, but now that the house is finished, it's time to move. Issei was not there at the time, so Lefei and Offeyes were reading some books from the main library. Fei Chan, Offeyes, are you here? Asked the brown-haired man entering the room. Yes, here we are, the blonde replied as she went to where the brunette was to kiss him while Offeyes hugged him. Nowadays, since the brown-haired man returned, Offeyes did not want to move away from him, and rather, the feelings he had became stronger after he returned from that dimension. Besides, the brown-haired man managed to make Offeyes express himself better and to store on human sentience. Offeyes can now speak and express himself more fluently according to his mood, but he has also had a certain feeling in his CHSD that has grown as he spends time with the brown-haired tree. Ai-sama, an invitation has arrived for Karniko-san and Kanu-san's wedding, the blonde told the brown-haired man. Issei was shocked at this news, but he saw his wife worried and smiled at her as he hugged her to reassure her. Don't worry, Fei-chan, I was already prepared for this. I just feel happy for her that she found love, said the brunette, reassuring her. Kya, it was Lefei's sound when she saw Issei lifting her by the waist. Besides, how can I be sad to have a woman as beautiful as you? Said the brunette, making the blonde blush at the comment but also happy. Issei kisses her passionately with the love act that the blonde reciprocates. When they separate, you can see a blonde with a big blush, but her face blushes even more since the look that the brown man gave her was of pure love and affection. And those beautiful eyes of a different color did not help her at all to control her blush. Issei, when he lowers the blonde, sees Offeyes, who is looking at him with a look that wants to say something while her cheeks are dyed a slight pink. A thought went through the brunette's head when he saw her that way. Since Offeyes is so cute, Kaya, it was Offeyes' cry at the surprise that the brown-haired man grabbed her by the waist and said, apart from her, I also have a beautiful and strong woman, said the brown-haired man to Offeyes while she blushed at the brown-haired man's words, making her hug him tighter while a smile adorns her face with her red cheeks. By the way, Fei-chan, when is the wedding? The brown-haired man asked curiously. In 2 weeks in Kyoto, the blonde replied calmly. Well, what do you think if we go get their dresses for the party? Commented the brunette, cheering up the girls. HAI. The 2 women replied at the same time, very happy that they could go out with their beloved. Underworld, Gremory Castle. So Kaneko and Kanu have already decided to get married. I'm so happy for them, said a redhead. Ara, Ju, I'm sure they're very excited. And you're going to go raise Osama Rias? The black-haired woman asked her best friend. Yes, also with Ravel and Yurakino. You are going to go with Zaston-san? Asked the redhead, her best friend. Most likely, since it will be a nice moment to share with him, replied the black-haired woman with her typical smile. Human World, Hyoto Residence. After they went shopping, Issei took the girls to the new residence, which is on an island with a field that would protect her from anything while making her invisible. It should be said that they were amazed since the house was not like a castle, but it was big with everything you needed and a little more. Lefei was delighted to find the library, which was very large, and Denaya had too many books that she did not know since Issei traveled all over the world collecting them. On the other hand, when he entered the kitchen, he found the place where they kept all the sweets, and without thinking twice, he began to eat with a big smile. Issei was happy that she was like this since all she wanted was to see them smile. At nightfall, Issei was talking to Lefei about how she needed to train her since she explained everything she had discovered and that a new enemy would appear soon. Without thinking, she accepted and was also excited to learn new spells in Dragonian Media. The next day, you can see a blonde and a brunette training while Offeyes watches them from benches that were nearby under some palm trees, making the place very peaceful and refreshing. Issei was teaching him to identify the weak points of the spells, in addition to controlling his new power. Since when a dragon is very powerful and marks a female who is not of his race and does not have enough power, she will become a 20% dragon. And although Lefei is very powerful in the art of spells, she is still a human, her body is human, so when she was marked by the brown, she became part dragon. The week was spent with Lefei training in the morning and relaxing in the afternoon to be at night with his beloved, while Offeyes was always with them, and the brown-haired man thanked him mentally since, for some reason, he liked to spend time with the two girls, and they took advantage of it since very soon the other girls who were missing would begin to come. Until the wedding day of the Yakai wedding, I arrive. Human world, unknown place. Is everything ready? A very thick voice asked in the shadows. Yes, sir, everything is ready, replied a subordinate. Well, then be ready to proceed with the plan, ordered the squadron leader. Got it, sir, the subordinates confirmed at the same time. Human world, Hyoto residence. A brown-haired man in a white dress suit with a black shirt without a tie could be seen waiting for his two companions for tonight. He was in his thoughts until he heard footsteps that took him out of his thoughts to turn to the stairs to see who was coming down them, and his pleasant surprise was pleasant. There was standing in the middle of the stairs a beautiful woman with a long blue dress that adapted to her sessy figure, a simple design at the top, a lace at the neck revealing her back, and a small neckline. In addition to light makeup, she had a handbag, and to finish, she had her hair in slight braids that were still on the side, making her look splendid. It should be said that the brown-haired man was shocked by how beautiful his wife looked. Lefei, seeing this, gives a small smile with a slight blush when she sees her husband's face in that state, but blushes even more when she sees that he came out of her shock and gave her a smile, stretching his hand in her direction. You look splendid, beautiful mind, said the brown-haired man with a blush on his wife's face. You look very handsome too, said the blonde, trying to keep herself from eating her husband because of how handsome he was. At that moment, a beautiful woman of the same age as the brown-haired man is coming down, wearing a long black dress close to the body, showing off her wide hips, delegated waist, and large breasts. On the top of the dress, she had a simple design showing part of her cint and shoulders. She had her hair in a beautiful bun, showing her seductive neck. She wore light makeup and a beautiful necklace. The brunette was looking at the beautiful woman in front of him with a big blush, but he was also shocked and confused since he didn't know who the woman in front of him was. Eyes, said the woman with a blush on that beautiful face because of the way the brown-haired man looked at her. Hearing her mention her name makes me even more surprised since she could recognize the woman's voice because her aura was different. OPHIS, the CHST nut tree exclaimed in surprise. Offeyes just nods as she approaches him in a shy voice and tells him how it looks. The brown-haired man comes to his senses at the question and simply thinks, there will be a more beautiful woman. You look extremely beautiful, said the blushing brown, making Offeyes blush more, but a beautiful smile appeared on his face. I can't believe it's Offeyes, were the thoughts of the CHST nut tree. Tell me, I'm more surprised than you. Dreg spoke in the CHST nut man's mind. I didn't think Offeyes looked like that, but why do you think he looks like that, Dreg? The brown-haired man asked my companion. To be honest, I think he likes you, Dreg replied, leaving a brown-haired man blank. I can't believe it. You really believe that, said the brown-haired man, unable to believe. Look at her eyes. You can tell that she feels something for you. I always thought it was just attachment since it never crossed my mind that the Infinity Dragon would fall in love, but I see that I was wrong. Dreg finished, saying he was very surprised. Offeye, why are you in that shape? I mean, you look very beautiful like this, but because you were transformed? Asked the brown-haired man, intrigued. It was my idea. Since she is going with us, I thought it would be better that way since they won't recognize her, the blonde replied happily. Right, you're absolutely right. Fei-chan, now it'll just be calling you different, said the brown-haired man, thinking until he said the name Kurumi. Offeyes was surprised by the name, as was Lefei. We can't call it Offeyes because everyone would notice, so it doesn't mean hope, said the brown-haired man, surprising the two women. Offeyes smiles adorably upon hearing it, making Issei blush to see how beautiful she looks. My name will be Saojiro Pendragon so that I don't get caught, said the brown-haired man, changing his aura and appearance. Now he had blonde hair and a less defined body, his face changed a little but not much, and his eyes remained the same. Lefei blushes when she hears that he uses her last name, although since we are married, it is natural that he can use it. Okay, with everything ready, let's have a little fun at the party, said the brown-haired man, disappearing in a magic circle with Lefei and Offeyes hugging his arms. Mundo Himano, Tokyo, Kyoto. In a large room of the castle of the leader of the Yakai, Kaneko and Kanu's wedding party was held. Rias, Aquino, Asia, Zenovia, Irina, Rasuizer, Ravel, Valeria, and Tasuka were entering with their respective partners. When they could see their friends, they went to see them and congratulate them. After a few minutes, Kuroka arrived, who, although he did not like the idea of his sister marrying another man who was not the one she had chosen, bothered him a lot. But there he was because, in spite of everything, she is still his sister. Thank you very much, girls, said the pair of Yakai, happy that their friends are there supporting them. While both men approached Yasuko to congratulate him, even Razor congratulated him as he had become more humble and calm, as well as more sociable. In another part of the room, Surzech, Grafia, Azazel, and Yasaka were talking, and they were talking calmly while enjoying the party. Vali also arrived with his wife since one of his wives, Abilia, was in charge of helping Yasaka, and out of courtesy, they were invited, although when they arrived, they stayed with the leaders talking. The party is going normally, everyone was enjoying the evening while more guests continued to arrive, until a group of 3 people arrived, calling the attention of everyone present at the party as they felt their presence was too powerful. At the entrance of the castle, you could see Lefei, Kurumi, who came from the arms of their beloved Sojiro, attracting everyone's attention, especially that of the men since they looked really beautiful. While the girls were wide-eyed and quite blushing because of how good and handsome the boy was, even the Gremmery group and even Yasaka herself were with a slight blush. And no girl knew why, since they did not know that Issei being a complete dragon releases many pheromones that make women excited just by seeing him. But a thought came to all the people, who were the companions who came with the beautiful magician, and more curiosity was given to all the people when they noticed that she came arm in arm with that man. The trio walked to where the newlyweds were once located, and they also realized that they were with the group Gremmery and Stry. "Have a beautiful evening, all present," said the blonde in the kindest way to all those present who were with the newlyweds. Note, Issei, when he is like Sojiro, will have blonde hair, so in conversations I will call him. Once those words were said, the girls blushed even more at the deep voice of the blonde, and he returned to where the newlyweds were. "I wish the best to the newlyweds and that all their dreams come true in their long life together. I congratulate the blonde," making Kaneko and Kanu blush even more, but for some reason their chsts began to hurt when they heard the words of the person in front of them. Plus, when he finished saying that sentence, they felt as if he had lost the right to something. Yasaka, along with Azazel, Surzech, Grafia, and Vali, and their wives, approached the group to find out who the guests were since they felt that the boy and the other girl who came accompanying Lefei had too powerful an aura. "Lefei, who are your companions?" asked Kuroka, who was quite curious when she saw the boy, since he looked like someone but knew who. Faced with such a question, everyone paid attention since they were extremely curious to know who the people were who accompanied the young magician. "This is going to make it fun," Didre commented in his partner's mind, while the blonde agreed with him. "Excuse me for not seeing it presented before," said the magician in an apology, looking at everyone. "His name is Sojiro Pendragon, and he is my beloved husband." When he finished saying those words, the blonde man smiled when he saw the faces of all the people who were in total shock. When did he happen? Where did he meet him? How did he meet him? Who is he? Were the questions that everyone asked themselves before such a revelation. "And she is my friend and my husband's partner. Her name is Kurumi, and as everyone could see, they are dragons." When I finished introducing them, everyone was speechless at the news, even Azazel, who had seen almost everything the world could offer. When they came out of the shock, they all introduced themselves and their respective partners to the pair of dragons. "It's a pleasure to meet everyone present," said the brown-haired man, leaning a little. We looked at everyone, but when I looked at the Gremmery group, they all felt a slight pain in their chsts, as if they failed in something or something was wrong. The brown-haired man went to where Ravel and Kuroka, who were Lefei's best friends, were and always supported her. But also because they were girls, he wanted to be by his side since they were one of the few who always waited for him and continue to wait for him. "Comrade Albion is suspicious since he can sense my presence," Didreg said, worrying the brown-haired man. "So you are my beautiful wife's famous best friend. It really is a pleasure to meet you at the end since she always speaks very well of you," said the blonde with a smile that made both girls blush and mentally thank their friend for talking about them too. "I must add that they are really more beautiful than I imagined," said the blonde, kissing Ravel and Kuroka's hands, leaving them in total shock and with a great blush on their faces because of the blonde's words. The blonde, when he saw that they wanted to say something but the words did not come out, gave them a smile that made them blush as much as possible because of the beautiful smile he dedicated to them. And it was not helpful at all the warm look that he gave them with those beautiful eyes of different colors, making them unable to hide their blush in the presence of the people present. The Gremmery girls, for some reason, felt irritated by such a scene. Even Kanu and Kaneko felt that way, but none of them knew why. "Mate, this is not going to last long. Albio is realizing I don't think it will last long before he discovers our costume," Didreg reported for the second time, worrying the brown-haired man more while thinking about how to solve this problem. The CHST nut returned to the leaders of the factions. "It is a pleasure to meet the great Mao Lucifer and his queen Graphia Lucifuge, as well as not to know the former ruler of the fallen angels," said the blonde while bowing respectfully while those mentioned returned it. The blonde said worriedly that Vali would keep the secret. "I imagine you're the great Hakichuyuku, Vali Lucifer, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard a lot about you," said the blonde calmly as he extended his hand to the albino. When the albino gave it to him with great curiosity, Didreg wasted no time in communicating with Albion. "Albion, tell your wielder not to tell anyone who we really are," Didreg said, communicating with his friend, leaving him shocked to learn that his suspicions were correct. "So you're really your Didreg? I finally see you again," Albion commented in a happy and calm tone. "If a lot happened, I'll tell you in detail later, but now is not the time. Tell your wearer that I acted as if you had never seen each other." Didreg finished and then cut off the communication. Albion told Vali that he was Issei and not to tell anyone and to act as if they had never met, to which Vali was really surprised. After a few seconds, Volley gave him his typical smile. I hope to be able to fight you at some point, said the albino with a smile while he was surprising everyone that since Issei has been away little by little, he has lost interest in fights and his desire to fight. At least that was until now, since right now a desire to fight again has just arisen when he feels his aura rise. I also want to fight soon, said the blonde man, returning his smile and raising his aura as well. This left everyone even more shocked than they already were, but more so the wives of the albino, who already knew the albino very well, and this for them was something new. That he has so much desire to fight is really strange. Issei walked away from a smiling Volley and his women. Now she is in front of Yasaka, looking into her eyes. She was another of the women. I always longed for me to come back for her, and now that I am here, I am not going to let them take her away from me. Meanwhile, Yasaka had a big blush that was very noticeable, even though she didn't know why, but those deep eyes and her quality look made her feel helpless. Everyone was surprised to see how Yasaka blushed since everyone knew her. She was a woman who had rejected a lot and was not intimidated by anyone, but now that woman was really blushing and very nervous in front of the man in front of her. This caused different reactions as well as amazement. It also caused jealousy. A lot of jealousy on the part of the Grimoire girls when they saw how he was flirting with Yasaka. And although they did not know why they felt that way, they could not help but feel jealous at such a scene. Kanu and Kaneko couldn't believe it since they had never seen Yasaka that way. Issei seeing her like this simply smiles even more since seeing her that way is something new for him. But really for her, it makes her look very beautiful. It's a great honor to meet the former leader of the Ikaka Yokai. I must say that today she looks very beautiful, although I think she always looks beautiful, said the blonde, kissing the kitsune's hand, making her very nervous. Yasaka, when she hears all those compliments, turns extremely red, and not only that, because even though for her the compliments are very frequent, she does not take them seriously. Until now, she did not know him because she wanted to hear the words of the person who was in front of her. Issei, seeing her in that way, simply smiles, is satisfied, and walks away so that she can calm down, returning to where Lefei and Kurumi were. All the girls felt even more irritated by the atmosphere that the two of them caused, but there were also two girls that they did not know why. Instead of feeling jealous for that scene, they felt longing and a lot of happiness, as well as tranquility, to be close to that man. And they were nothing more and nothing less than Ravel and Kuroka, who had a smile on their faces that was very hidden. After those presentations, everyone continued with the party, although for some people, there were doubts and a lot of curiosity about a certain blonde boy. As time passes and everything calms down after the entrance of the trio, they get ready to talk about trivial topics. Asia, Zenobia, and Earring were dancing with their respective boyfriends, Thelm, Liu, and Nero, in that order. Rasuizer, Riaz, Akino, Kaneko, and Kanu were talking to their respective partners and enjoying the evening. Ravel and Kuroka had Lefei in a corner, questioning her about the blonde. Kurumi-chan, do you want to dance? Asked the brown-haired man with his hand extended to a dragon who has been teaching him to dance for a long time, and this would be a very good opportunity to test everything he learned. Of course I would love to, the dragon replied very happily as she took the blonde's hand to go to the dance floor. When they were on the dance floor, they realized that there was a soft and quiet song, so the blonde brought the dragon closer to his body and put his hand on her waist, and the other shot went up to start moving from one side to the other in a very calm but at the same time elegant way. Kurumi feels the touch of the blonde blushes since she is very close to him, but after a few seconds, she relaxes and begins to follow the movement of the blonde while closing her eyes to enjoy the closeness and the aura that was rolling her from him. Are you having fun? Asked the brown-haired man softly. I'm always by your side, the dragon replied with a smile. Come on, mate, it's your chance, D-Drag said in the blonde's mind. Yes, I know, but for some reason I can't find the words, the blonde commented a little nervously. Come on, mate, you won't have another chance like this, D-Drag said, encouraging the blonde man. Commented the brown-haired man. Kurumi, the blonde called the dragon, who had her eyes serrated while enjoying the dance. Yes, was the only thing the dragon said as she raised her head to look the blonde in the eyes, making him captivated by seeing such beautiful eyes. Would you like to go out with me? The blonde asked very nervously. Kurumi, upon hearing what the blonde said, is surprised, but then he puts on a face of joy that does not go unnoticed by the blonde. She gets closer to him and tells him that she would be delighted to go out with him, to which the blonde, when he hears it, gives him a smile that makes the dragon blush a little, and they continue to enjoy the dance. In one of the corners of the large room, two blondes and a black-haired woman can be seen talking. Wherever you look at it, I don't know where you got it from, Lefei, Kuroka said, still unable to believe that one of her best friends was already married to a man who was really quite attractive to her. I met him a long time ago, he prevented me from marrying a wretch, and after spending more time with him, I fell deeply in love. That was the only answer that the magician gave, leaving a lot of doubts in her friends. Lefei, you really married him? I can't believe it. Well, at least he's someone you love, said the blonde phoenix with a certain sadness, remembering that she is being forced to marry someone she doesn't even know. "Don't be like this, Ravel. The truth is that I have very good news for you," said the magician, calling the attention of the two girls. "Hey, what do you mean, LeFay?" the blonde phoenix asked very curiously. "I've already found a way to free you from your commitment, but I still can't tell you how I can tell you that alone," the magician replied, leaving the two girls in shock. "And these have, speaking of, seriously?" asked the blonde phoenix, even if she could believe it, a great sign of hope. "How do you destroy that, LeFay?" asked Kuroka, still in shock. "I'm sorry, but at this moment it's impossible for me to tell you anything else. Just trust me," said the magician with a smile while she would say a look at the blonde who was dancing with Kurumi. Ravel was shedding tears of happiness at such news. She wanted more than ever to free herself from that commitment since she only loves a person and only with that person she wants to be. "It's true what you say?" Kuroka asked, still unable to believe it, since that issue was quite delicate and very difficult to solve. "Yes, although I can't tell you how, I can tell you that on the same day that Ravel is going to get married, or rather, when we are at the wedding, it will happen that you will be released from the engagement. Plus you will be happy to see him at that moment," said the magician with a smile, making Ravel throw himself into hugging her and saying thank you repeatedly. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't know what that means to me," said the blonde phoenix, hugging her friend tightly from so much happiness. "What Ravel doesn't know is that something very big is going to happen, and it will surprise not only her but also the whole supernatural world." "True, Kuroka-sama, I want to introduce you to someone who wants to see her, but that will be after the party," said the magician calmly. Kuroka was surprised at what he heard and began to be curious about who it could be, so she told him that it was fine. On the other side of the party, the Gremory girls were watching the blonde at all times dance with Kurumi calmly, enjoying the contact of each one and producing jealousy for all of them. But they don't know why that jealousy and seeing it like this with another woman caused pain in their CHSDS and even more so for Rias. The brown-haired man, while dancing with Kurumi, sees everyone at the party and notices that the Gremory group is seeing him more and more, but he downplays it. At one point, something caught his attention, and that is that Sona is arguing with Sanji about something, but when he sees Sona's expressions, he realizes that it is something that bothers him a lot. "I'm almost sure that the boy has not been able to mark her, and that is where the argument comes from. Surely the heiress Citri does not agree and the boy is pressuring her," D-Drake commented in the mind of the blonde, remembering what his beloved wife told him about Sona's relationship. "Sanji, he's really an idiot if he keeps pressuring her. The only thing he's going to achieve is that Sona will leave him," the blonde replied somewhat angrily. "The boy surely feels that he is going to lose her, that's why he wants to mark her as his own, although I don't know what complaints if that favors you," D-Drake commented, but this time with a smile on his face. "But the way he's holding it, he's going to end up losing it if not already," said the blonde as he watched Sona move away from Sanji. "By the way, what do you mean by that which benefits me?" asked the blonde with some doubt and confusion. "Partner, you can't fool me. I've known you forever, and I can feel everything you feel. I've been able to see how you react when you're close to the girl Citri," D-Drake said, surprising the blonde. "I don't know what you're talking about," said the blonde, trying to finish the subject. "Nate, you don't fool me. You have always loved that girl since you met her. Maybe you don't feel something very strong like what you feel for the magician, but I can say that if you give her a chance, she can become an indispensable person for you," D-Drake commented, leaving the blonde in a great silence. Said the blonde, trying to leave the subject of Sona because, although he doesn't want to admit it, he has always felt that way for her, but since he never almost met her, he couldn't see clearly if that was love or simply appreciation. D-Drake laughed for himself, as he knew his partner and knew that if the opportunity presented itself, he would not hesitate to approach the heiress Citri. "No, he can't even be one of the 5 Dragon Kings, only Albion, since we both recognize and feel each other's presence even if we don't want to," D-Drake answered in a calm and confident way. "Who would have thought?" said the blonde with surprise, but he could also be reassured to know that no one else besides Albion and Vali can know who they are. Aizawa enjoyed the dance he had with Kurumi again. Minutes later, something caught his attention again, and that was that he could see Tsubaki Shinra running to the balcony with tears in his eyes when he saw how Kiba and Tasuga kissed. "Kiba, you're an idiot. You should consider more the feelings of the girls who love you," the blonde thought when he saw this action. "You're the only person who can't say that." D-Drake mocked the blonde since he was very clueless when it came to girls. Issei remained silent in the face of such a comment by his friend since it was true and he did not know how to answer him, so it was better to remain silent. The blonde looks at Kurumi again and tells him that he needs to do something, to which Kurumi nods his head and goes to where Lefei was, while Issei takes a glass of wine that was nearby and goes to the balcony where Tsubaki ran away. Once he arrives there, he can see Tsubaki with a glass of wine in his hand as he watches the beautiful night, and tears run down his cheeks. Issei, seeing her, was heartbroken when he saw a woman as beautiful as she was in that state, so he decided to approach calmly to see if he could cheer her up a little. "Because such a beautiful woman is here alone," Tsubaki heard behind her, surprising her to see who it was. Aiz walks to her and sits on the same bench as the black-haired woman, but a little far away to give her space. "It's a nice night, isn't it?" the brown-haired man asks while the black-haired woman's face turns red when he sees that someone saw her cry, while the blonde sees her simply smiling, although in his mind it was said that she looks very pretty when she is sad. Don't worry, sometimes we need to cry to bring out what you have inside, said the blonde, and without realizing it, a tear runs down his cheek. The black-haired woman is surprised by his words, but even more so when she sees that tear come down. I know it's none of my business, but I don't like to see a girl as beautiful as you shed tears when she can smile and look even more beautiful than you already are, said the blonde, making the black-haired woman blush even more, although she didn't understand why those words affected her so much. So if you have a problem, I can listen to you so that you can get rid of your eyes, commented the blonde, surprising the black-haired woman even more since she never thought that anyone would want to listen to her sorrows. Tsubaki, for some reason, felt that she could trust him and decided to tell him. I saw that she was very happy as she let her guard down and was able to relax a little. I'm not a person who can get along with the opposite gender. In fact, I've only been able to get along with 3 men so far in my life. The black-haired woman began to recount, making the blonde pay a lot of attention to her. One of them I was always in love with was the gentleman Gremory Kibayuyudo, said the black-haired woman with some sadness while seeing her fists with some frustration. I see seeing her like this puts his hand on her hand while giving her a smile full of support, making him calm down when he sees her. A few years ago I started to get along better with him. I thought that maybe if I continued like this I could be with him forever, but I finished, saying the black-haired woman while lowering her head sadly while treacherous tears ran down her beautiful cheeks, making the blonde feel a pain in his ch when he saw her that way. He decides to approach her and hugs her so that she can get rid of her. The black-haired woman, when she felt that she was being hugged, was going to push him away immediately. But for some strange reason that hug was full of warmth and affection, something that she had needed for a long time, so she always let herself be hugged while she was uncovered by all the pain she had saved. After a few minutes, you can see a calmer Tsubaki in the arms of a blonde, enjoying the contact and aroma that he gives off. In addition to the aura, he is so calm but at the same time so powerful that he gives off from him, making her feel safe and protected. Tsubaki, now more recovered, decides to continue telling her while she continues to hug him, since she did not want to move away from that feeling by letting herself be held in his arms, while Issei did not mind continuing to hug her. Rather, he liked having her in his arms. But it wasn't like that. When I gathered enough courage, I confessed my feelings to him, but I was rejected by him. He told me he had only seen me as a great friend, and then I realized that he was in a relationship with his friend from the Sword Project. I finished saying that to the black-haired woman, who started crying again, making her cling more to the blonde, and he brings her closer to him to reassure her. Calm down, cry, unwind, I'm here for you, for when you need me, I'll never leave your side, said the blonde, trying to reassure the black-haired woman who clung to him as if it were the last thing in her life. The blonde simply stayed there for her to reassure her, caressing her hair with affection, making her feel happy and calm. In addition to feeling protected, what I miss most about her is that she has only felt that way with one person, and that is Issei. Tell me something that happened to the other 2 men, you know, the blonde asked the black-haired woman, who was much calmer but still refused to let go of the blonde, so she answered him even while he was in her arms. One of them is the laborer and boyfriend. Well, I think the ex-boyfriend of our king Sona Citri, Saju Genshiro, and although he has become very jealous and possessive, he is still a good boy, although for me he is not what I would like as my partner. And the last one, who is he? The blonde asked again, although he already knew the answer to that question. Tsubaki gives a sad look but makes a smile when she remembers that Issei notices that expression. She moves away from the blonde a little and looks at the night sky. I haven't seen the other person in 10 years. He was a very perverted person but also funny, said the black-haired woman, smiling even more when she remembered him. Although we didn't talk much, the little we did really made me feel good and relaxed because with him I could be myself, she said, surprising the blonde, but he was more surprised to see what again since she had a beautiful smile while looking at the stars and the moonlight fell on her, showing how beautiful she was. Issei, seeing her in this way, is dumbfounded by how beautiful the woman in front of his eyes was. It's a funny thing that now that he's not there, I really like to spend more time with him, said the black-haired woman with a sad smile, but that statement made the blonde wonder something, and to get rid of the doubt, he asked her directly, tell me something. Hey, do you like him? That question made the black-haired woman blush, but when she was going to deny it, she couldn't. At that moment, she realized that she really loved the brown-haired man more than as a friend, and although when she met Issei she was in love with Kiba, she later fell in love with the brown-haired man, but she never accepted it. When Issei left, the pain she felt at losing him clouded her feelings, making her believe that she really was in love with Kiba and not with Issei. That discovery left her perplexed. She could not believe it. She had really fallen in love with him. She only had to accept it for her feelings and her whole being to be reassured. She forms that smile. She was really happy to discover that part of herself that she had hidden herself from without realizing it. The smile did not go unnoticed by the blonde, making him very curious. How curious? You know, I just realized that my mind really liked it. No, I like Hyoto Issei, said the black-haired woman with a big smile on her face. Issei, upon hearing that, was in total shock at such a revelation, since in front of him was the queen of Citri, Tsubaki Shinra, declaring her love for him, even if in an indirect way. Haha, who would have thought? 10 years sealed and you still make women fall in love. Haha, D-Drake commented, mocking his partner. I saw hearing that was going to say something, but seeing the truth, I better keep silent, making D-Drake laugh more at him. You know, I think that as long as you don't lose that faith, he'll come back and you'll see him again. Maybe it's in a long time or soon, but one thing is for sure, when he comes back, I know that he's going to look for you to be with him, said the brown-haired man once he got out of that shock, although this time the one like this would be the black-haired one. Why do you say that? The black-haired woman asked very curiously. Because if it were me, I wouldn't leave a woman as beautiful as you alone, and I would make an effort to make her happy, replied the blonde, getting up and leaving the balcony where he was with the black hair. You surprise me more and more, Comrade D-Drake commented, mocking his friend, who is lucky enough to have to form a harem or not, said the blonde with great confusion. Haha, what's next? Gabriel the Seraph or maybe Tiamat the Dragon? Drake said, laughing at his partner. Now that you know what he feels like you'll do with her, D-Drake asked a little more seriously. What I told her, as soon as I reveal myself, I'll go get her, said the blonde with great determination. Once Issei met Lefay and Kurumi again, they rushed to hug him where he barely saw him. Issei just smiled, giving Kurumi a caress that blushed from the touch but also made her very happy. He gives Lefay a kiss that this mind gladly accepts, and after a few minutes, due to a lack of air, they separate, leaving a thin thread of saliva between them and a very blushing but happy Lefay at such an act of love in front of everyone. The Gremmeries girls felt so jealous when they saw how the boy kissed the magician, but they could not understand why he felt that way when a woman approached him. The party continues as normal. Sona was talking to Tsubaki, who had a face with a fresh and calm expression, much better than before. Gremmery girls are with their respective partners, even the newlyweds were with them. Azazel, Surzech, and Graphia were talking to Yasaka at a table, quietly enjoying the party. Vali was with his women, dancing with each other for as long as they enjoyed the moment. I saw this and still couldn't believe that Val, a fever and a fighting addict, were married and living quietly in the underworld. Issei was talking to Lefay while Kurumi was hugging his arm as if that alone mattered to him, as he looked like he was in his own world, feeling the blonde's aura. At that moment, a large explosion of smoke was heard on the table where Yasaka was, but before anyone could do anything, everyone realized that they were assembled in a kind of bubble. While as the smoke spread, everyone realized that there were many magicians, and the leader of them had Yasaka in a bubble next to him. Excuse the disaster, it's just that since I didn't have an invitation, I had to enter like this, commented the leader of the mages in mockery. What happened to them? Who are you? An angry Kaneko asked. What have they done to my mother? Let it go, the younger Kitsune demanded when she saw her mother, who was unconscious. Ha, calm down, little one, your mother is fine for now, replied the leader of the magicians, mocking. About who we are, very soon you will know who we are, but now I only come for her, since she is necessary for my lord's plans, said the magician calmly. Hearing that, everyone present began to try to break the bubble, but no one succeeded, not even Surzech and Vali, who hit it hard to help Yasaka. Don't make an effort to try to break that bubble, no one will succeed since it is made to withstand the attack of a god, commented the leader of the magicians, surprising everyone. Since you know, I don't know how to make an effort since it will all be in vain. Well, I am retiring since my mission is complete, said the leader trying to leave with the former Yokai leader. But before he does so, he hears a voice that makes him stop and surprises everyone with who he is. You know I can't let you leave this place and even less with her, so because we don't let it happen and you give up, maybe you can get less hurt, but if I don't, I assure you that you will regret it, said the blonde calmly but with a firm and deep voice, making everyone in the room have a shiver that runs through their bodies. And what can a rat like you do with a being as powerful as me? Said the magician, presuming that he believed that even if he was very strong, he would not be able to get out of the bubble. Truly, there are still beings in this world who don't know how to take advantage of peace, commented the blonde, beginning to raise his dragonian aura. Everyone felt that aura elevation that they were shocked by, since it was an aura that was very powerful, making everyone present begin to sweat and breathe with difficulty since the air became heavier, except for two people who were very close to the blonde. Lefay and Kurumi, when they felt that aura, began to get excited because, for them, it was a very calm aura that intoxicated them at all times, making their bodies react. What a powerful aura were Surzech's thoughts. She has a very intimidating aura. Those were the girls' thoughts. He is very powerful. Those were the thoughts of men. Wow, you have become very powerful, said the albino in a low voice as he raised his aura even stronger than before, but this time he had a feeling of struggle. His women heard him and were surprised by the aura of struggle that his husband had, and for the first time in a long time, they felt the desire to fight coming from him, making them excited by that powerful aura that his husband gives off, since they had fallen in love with that lively aura and desire to fight and protect what he loves. And what can you do? You can't even get out of that bubble, said the leader of the magicians with a smile of arrogance and confidence, although inside he was scared to death to feel that kind of aura so tremendously strong and strong. Do you think this level of barrier can stop me? Said the brown-haired man, putting his finger on the bubble. Stupid, I already told you that it is impossible to break it, said the leader confidently, until it began to crack little by little where he had his finger placed. This is nothing, said the blonde as the cracks expanded everywhere in the bubble, and immediately it broke as if it were glass. Everyone present was surprised by the ease with which he broke it. Now you will feel the real pain of touching a woman like her, said the brown-haired man, angry at having touched his beautiful kitoon. The leader of the magicians was in a trembling and cold sweat as he saw how the blonde approached him with a face that promised a lot of pain. Attack was the leader's cry for all the mages present to react and attack with their best spells, hoping to kill him. Everyone was surprised. Those attacks were very powerful, and together they could see anyone killed. The mages, seeing that their spells had impacted, were happy, thinking that they had defeated him, until they heard a voice surprising everyone present. If that's all they have, I've really been disappointed by the current level of magicians today, said the blonde, coming out of the smoke without any scratches. My dear Fei-chan, you can teach them what it really means to be a magician, said the blonde, attracting everyone's attention. Hi, replied the magician, very excited since she could practice a spell that she learned recently from her beloved husband. She stood in front of the blonde and created a huge magic circle on his red head. Dragon Blazer, the magician shouted as a huge and imposing fire dragon came out of the magic circle, attacking all the magicians. All the mages were charred, leaving only the leader of them, while the mage was very happy since the attack was very powerful and not much effort was needed. Everyone present was in shock since they never imagined that the magician was so powerful. Ravel and Kuroka were the most surprised since they knew very well the level that the magician had, or at least before. So the two of them began to wonder where Lefei had become so powerful, and only one answer came to their minds when they saw the person next to her congratulating her. What better way to become strong than one of the strongest dragons that exists? Good job, Fei-chan, after I give your reward, said the blonde, although he only said that last one so that she would listen, making her blush at such words, but he didn't say anything since she did want that reward. Well, it's time to finish with you, said the blonde again, seeing the magician, who trembled with fear. In a fraction of seconds, when no one could see it, the blonde was already in front of the magician, surprising everyone at such speed. The magician, realizing it, is frozen at such speed. Issei gives a simple blow to the magician's face, sending him a shot against a wall, causing it to go through and creating a crater in the ground where he fell, leaving the magician unconscious since he had his jaw twisted by the blow and his ribs and several organs damaged by the impact. The room is silent in the face of such an act of power. Everyone is shocked except for Volley, who, when he sees how powerful his rival has become, begins to get more and more excited. Issei returns to where Yasaka was since the magician was not even good for a warm-up. He puts his hand in the bubble that imprisoned the older kitsune, breaking it and taking Yasaka before he falls to the ground. Fei-chan, Kurumi-chan can free everyone, said the blonde to his two beautiful girls. Hi was what they said to said about freeing all the guests. When everyone was free, she ran out to see if her mom was okay, where the blonde had her in his arms, carrying her like a princess. Mother, the younger kitsune shouted worriedly when she arrived with Kaneko and Yasuko. Don't worry, she's fine, she was just fainting. If she rests one night, she'll be fine, said the blonde, reassuring everyone present. Thank you for the help, said the Mouse Urzech. Don't worry, I just did it because it's the right thing to do. Besides, I can't let them put a hand on top of her, the blonde commented with a smile. But some were confused by what he said, except for a certain mage and a certain dragon. You are really very strong to break that kind of bubble without any effort, Azazel said this time, calling everyone's attention to what he said. I went in for 10 long years in a row, isolated from the world, to protect my loved ones, said the blonde, returning to see Lefei and Kurumi, who turned red for the comment, but at the same time very happy since the blonde would do anything for them. After a training as hellish as the one I had, not being able to break a barrier of that type, it would be a misfortune for my teacher. Besides, the bubble had many fractures. One simply adds a little magic to those fractures and they will break, as you have already seen, explained the blonde, surprising everyone that he had such knowledge and, moreover, that he had such a level of handling magic. The girls, seeing the look and smile that the blonde man dedicated to the magician and the dragon, were jealous because it was not them. Well, if you allow me, I'll take Miss Yasaka to a safe place so she can rest, the blonde said to everyone, but when he sees that they are going to say something, he continues. As you have already seen, for now I am the only one who can protect her. I also imagine that the two leaders of the alliance are busy taking care of her. The others, I imagine, have matters to attend to, and for you ladies, Kano has to enjoy her honeymoon with her husband. Just like you Miss Kaneko, that leaves us with only one option, me. Therefore I will take care of her while she rests. She has my dragon's word that nothing will happen to her. Well, with that decided, I retire so that Miss Yasaka can rest, said the blonde, withdrawing while he was held by one arm by Kurumi, who was leaving with him. Fei-chan, you can stay if you like, but please don't get home too late, so I don't worry, said the blonde, watching the magician nod and leave the party. Well guys, Yasaka-sama will be fine, I can assure you, so why don't we continue with the celebration since today is a very important night, said the magician. Those present were encouraged to continue the celebration once the unconscious magician was arrested and the wall fixed, although some people had a certain blonde with green eyes in their minds. Human world, Hyoto residence. On the island of the Hyoto residence, a dimensional gap opens, and from it comes a blonde carrying a blonde and, at the same time, a black-haired woman. Off-Ice-chan, wait for me here while I place Yasaka in a room to rest, said the blonde, continuing to the second floor and placing the kitsune on the bed of a room very well decorated for her to rest in. I see how kitsune sleeps and only smiles when she sees how beautiful she looks that way. After contemplating her for a few minutes, she goes down to the living room, where Off-Ice was sitting and resting from the party. When she arrives, he sits next to her, and she hugs her. The two enjoy each other's closeness while they wait for Lefei and her other guests. Mundo Himano, Tokyo, Kyoto. Everyone was already leaving the party for the newlyweds to enjoy their night. The Gremory's girls were saying goodbye to each other and leaving. Lefei approaches Kuroka and takes her a little away from everyone so that they don't hear what she was going to tell her. Kuroka-sama, Sojiro wants to talk to you privately, so he asked me to take you, the magician said to a very surprised Kuroka. Why do you want to see me? The black-haired woman asked with great curiosity, although she later remembered how he treated her when he greeted her and blushed a little. You'll see, you'll be very surprised that you liked what you saw, said the magician, leaving an intrigued Kuroka. Come on, let's go and say goodbye so we can leave. I want to rest now, said the magician while pulling the arm of the black-haired woman. When they arrived where they were, they all congratulated the couple for the last time, but before leaving, Riaz asked Kuroka. Kuroka, you want us to take you to the underworld? Asked the redhead. I'm sorry, Riaz, but Lefei invited me to come to her house, the Nekomata answered, surprising all the girls. Ah, you're going to England then? Riaz commented calmly. No, I don't live anymore. I left my house a long time ago. Now I'm living with my husband and Kurumi somewhere else, the magician commented, leaving everyone surprised, but something in Lefei caught everyone's attention. Lefei, that mark you have on your shoulder, left, don't tell me what it is. Ravel couldn't finish saying it because the magician gave him a big smile of pride that everyone saw. Yes, that's right, this is my husband's mark, said the magician with great pride and a beautiful smile of happiness. Lefei, do you know what that means? Sona asked, very upset, since Saji keeps saying that he wants to mark her so that no one approaches her. Yes, it means that I can't be with any man who is not my husband, and I really don't mind being with someone else. I only love him, and he is the only one I want to be with. Plus he told me about the brand long before we got to that, said the magician with a smile. From what I see, you don't know, but a dragon can decide to mark his partner or not. The simple fact that they have sex does not mean that he will mark her. For my part, I did decide that he marked me since I really feel very proud and very happy to be one of his partners. I finished saying that the magician surprised everyone before the new year since they did not know. Everyone looked at Saji, and he turned his head away. Sona got a twitch in her eye because her partner, or rather, as of today, her ex-partner, had not told her such an important fact. Wait a minute, said one of his partners. Is there more? Said a doubtful Tsubaki, since she became a little interested in him. At the moment, no, I am the only one who is his current partner and cousin. But as you could see today, there is also Kurumi, who is taking things calmly, said the magician, giving a little hope to certain people. Well, if you allow us, we will leave, said the magician in greeting. Wait, Ria said to the two girls who were going to leave. What do you need? Ria-san, we want to retire to my house, the magician said calmly. Your truth is living with Sojiro-san, was the question that Akino asked. Yes, I've been living with him for almost a month or 2 months or so, the magician replied innocently. But if Kuroka goes to your house, he's going to be there. Ria said with some nervousness that she didn't know why, but something told her that she had to prevent Kuroka from going to that house. If he's there, the mage said to Riaz, all the girls hearing that. For some reason, they don't like the idea of Kuroka going. Well, if that's all, we'll leave, said the magician, disappearing in a magic circle with Kuroka by her side. Human World, Hyoto Residence. In front of the residence appears in a magic circle Lefei Kuroka, the black-haired one. When she sees the house, she is surprised because it is very beautiful, and just by seeing it, she is protected by several barriers. Come on, Kuroka-sama, he must be waiting for us, said the magician, pulling the black-haired woman inside, where she is. A blonde and a black-haired woman are on the sofa in the living room. You see, they've arrived, said the blonde calmly. I'm glad you arrived well, my dear Fei-chan, said the blonde, going to the magician to receive her and give her a tender kiss, which the magician very happily received. Kuroka, how long has it been since I saw you? Said the blonde, hugging the black hair. Kuroka feels the hug and is shocked. She didn't know how to ration, but something about it made her feel. Okay. When they separated, they could see a surprised Kuroka, and the blonde didn't know why. Ai-sama is still wearing Sojiro's disguise, said the magician, letting Issei know the reason for her reaction. Kuroka heard that name and froze. She didn't know why, but her heart began to race, thinking that maybe it was just that person. In an instant, a magic circle is created on the ground and begins to rise, changing its parascience and aura back to normal. Kuroka couldn't believe it. When she saw the person in front of her, tears began to run down her cheeks. She couldn't control them. She didn't know whether to believe that this person was really in front of her, that person who cried for him so many nights, who always wanted a hug from him, a kiss, a caress, whatever it was. She just wanted it to be there for her, and in a brittle voice, she asked, trying to believe that it was not really an illusion. Is it really you, Eyes? The Nekomata asked with a lump in her throat. She wanted me to tell her that yes, there was, that it was not an illusion, that he would never leave her again, and that he would always be with her. "If it's me, Kuroka, I'm back," the now brown man replied with open arms and his unmistakable smile. Kuroka approached very slowly, little by little afraid that she would really disappear and she was never there, but anxiety killed her, and without wasting time, she only ran into the arms of her beloved. From that shoulder that she has longed for so much, with tears in her eyes, she threw herself into his arms. Making Issei hug her tightly, Kuroka feels that warmth and affection can't take it anymore and begins to cry, desperately clinging more and more to Issei while burying her head in the chst. Kuroka at that moment only felt that it was a dream that was not true, but when she felt his arms that surrounded her and the warmth and affection that she gave off, they made her feel that it was not a dream that was real and that her loneliness was finally over. Lefei and Offeyes only smiled at such a touching scene since they knew Kuroka was not the only one who had waited for Issei all this time and for more women to open that were going to arrive. I see that Kuroka continues to cry without calming down the cheek grab, making the black-haired woman raise her face to see she meets those beautiful amber eyes with tears in them, her blushing cheeks, and those soft lips. Seeing her like this, Issei brings her closer to him and kisses her. Kuroka, feeling her lips claimed by the man she loves, lets herself be carried away by closing her eyes and feeling that kiss full of love and affection. Once they separated, leaving a thin thread of saliva, you could see a Kuroka very blushing from the act before. When she sees how Issei looks at her, she becomes redder with embarrassment and buries her face again in the chst, hugging him very tightly so as not to separate from him for fear that he will leave her alone again. Issei, seeing her like this, only smiles at how cute her beautiful kitten looks. Then he lifts her up like a princess and goes to her room to rest. "Let's go to sleep, girls, today has really been a very heavy day," commented the brown-haired man leading Kuroka to his room, followed by Lefei and Offeyes. Once in the room, you can see a sleeping brown man with long sleepwear pants without a shirt, a Lefei on his right side with two-piece pajamas, plain long sleep-ins that fit perfectly, showing his voluptuous hips and sassy legs, and a plain pink blouse that adapts to his sassy figure over her curves and firm breasts. On her left side is Offeyes with a two-piece pajama, long plain violet sleepwear pants that highlight her sassy legs and thighs, and a violet long-sleeved blouse with a neckline that shows her large breasts since she stayed with the shape she had when she was big. And Kuroka, who slept peacefully on top of the chst tree, letting himself be enveloped by the aura and heat that they gave him. Kuroka slept in a small short, a blouse with straps. It must be said that she looked sensational, seeing her good and shapely sassy legs, her excellent curves, and her perfect breasts. Issei, before falling asleep, was dumbfounded to see how sassy Kuroka had become, and it took him a long time to fall asleep. On Kuroka's side, she was happy and red, happy to see how her man reacted to seeing her like this, and red to see and feel the good and shapely torso of the brown-haired one.
Okay, sadly the chapter is over, and if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.